Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Hokage, forged into a god, gifted sword at the beginning white Fang. Chapter 1. Naraku's consciousness gradually emerged from the abyss of coma. His eyes slowly opened, his vision was blurred, and his mind was in unbearable pain as if it had been exploded. As Naraku woke up, a look of surprise appeared on the face of Uchiha Makoto on the side. She quickly approached Naraku and asked with concern, "Nara, how are you feeling now?" Naraku glanced at the little black-haired loli next to him and subconsciously said it was okay. Uchiha Makoto was very happy to hear Naraku's response, and left to get Naraku dinner. Naraku lay on the bed recalling the memories in his mind. His name is Naraku, someone in China has the surname Naraku, and his current name is Uchiha Naraku. Thinking of this weird Uchiha, his now thin body, and the strange house. He roughly knew that he had probably traveled through time, and even traveled to the world of the 5 villages fighting in the Legend of Eyes. Naraku thought about his original world. He had no father, no mother, no wife, no children, and he was born in a tomato orphanage when he was young. I am an ultimate Hokage fan. The most important thing is the dump truck he encountered on the way to work. Don't ask why there are dump trucks in the city. Heiju's story of saving his mother can be understood by him coming through time travel. The only good thing is that before he died, he saw that his Redmi phone fell into the river, and he didn't know if his innocence could be preserved. Before he could recall much, Uchiha Makoto came over and fed Naraku a little dinner. Naraku then sent Uchiha Makoto away on the grounds that he needed a good rest. Next is the most important step for a traveler after traveling through time, which is to find cheat. It's no wonder that Naraku insists on cheating. Although Naraku, as a Hokage fan, knows most of the things about Hokage, he can't stand the fact that there are so many walls in the ninja world. Especially the 2 wall hangings of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, there are even more hanging walls in Incombustible Legend. Looking at Orochimaru, an excellent scientific researcher, he would definitely be a villain in another world, but in the Hokage world, he can only attack the protagonist. The Jade Emperor, Tathagata Buddha, Lord God, the Taoist patriarch of the Sanqing dynasty is above. With my overwhelming talent, willpower and hard work. Is Deep Blue here? System brother. Chat group. Grandpa. After calling for a long time, Naraku was about to try other methods to verify his cheat. Suddenly a mechanical sound sounded in Naraku's mind. Then a light blue translucent screen appeared in front of Naraku. The blacksmith system of the heavens is trying to bind. Congratulations on becoming a trainee blacksmith. Task 1. As a blacksmith, you must have your own forging site. Please find your own personal forging site immediately. Naraku breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the system appear, although it was not the kind of system he wanted to directly increase combat power, such as the ninja invincibility system, the villain system, the role-playing system, Deep Blue. But as long as there is a system, he believes it shouldn't be too bad. Even if this seems to be for auxiliary career development, after all, it shouldn't be too embarrassing if you are working in the system circle. Since the system does not display more detailed information now, Naraku suspects that it is because the system is currently in the trial binding stage, and he may need to complete the first task to know more information. At this time, Naraku couldn't lie down anymore. He was going to quickly find a forging site. He was afraid that if the system disappeared if it was not bound for a long time, he would cry to death. Just when Naraku got up, he suddenly felt dizzy, and then fell on the bed again. Before he became confused, Naraku only had time to say. By the time Naraku got up from bed again, it was already the next morning. At this time, Naraku had gradually begun to receive many memories of the original owner. Gradually, Naraku discovered that he did not seem to have just traveled through time, but had traveled through it a long time ago. It was only recently that he suddenly solved the mystery of the womb and awakened his memory. The main reason is that Uchiha Naraku is so similar to him when he was a child, he is simply a chicken, immortal. Before Uchiha Naraku, there was Father Jonin and Mother Chunin. Although their strength was good, they died during the half-peace period when the first ninja world ended. Previously, Father Jonin had always been a die-hard hawk and the #1 horse boy under the elder of the Uchiha clan. And Uchiha Makoto is the granddaughter of the great elder, so Naraku has always had a good relationship with Uchiha Makoto, and they are childhood sweethearts. After thinking about Uchiha Makoto's appearance and personality when he grew up, Naraku immediately decided that in the spirit of, I don't go to hell, who will go to hell, he must accept this beauty. As for whether Uchiha Sasuke and Uchiha Itachi will appear or who will give birth to them, Naraku doesn't care. When Uchiha Sasuke was born, Naraku doubted whether he had become a god with the help of his own peerless talent and strong will, with at least a little help from cheat. It is impossible for him to do nothing just to ensure that the plot is the same as the original work. That is the real way to die. Naraku immediately went out to seek help from Uchiha Makoto. After all, a qualified forging room was not something he, an orphan, could easily obtain. Naraku, are you okay? Uchiha Makoto asked with concern. Then he warned, don't be casual in the future. What's that called? By the way, don't be casual in the future. Naraku knew that Uchiha Makoto was talking about the brat who was the yin-yang Uchiha type before, but was beaten by this stupid green kid who often combined his yin and yang with a bunch of brats. It was only with the fists of these brats that he could break the mystery in the womb. Naraku immediately made up his mind that he would repay these brats well in the future. It's okay, Sister Makoto. That's what these brats say, only Fugaku can be worthy of you, and I'm the yin and yang of them. Sister Makoto, the only one who can marry you is me. Naraku said with the innocent eyes of a child. Looking at Uchiha Makoto seriously, he said. Uchiha Makoto was not used to this kind of tiger-wolf talk. He blushed and said, what a brat, you are not as big as them. Anyway, you are not allowed to fight one by one in a group anymore. Even if you fight, you will call me in. Then Naraku explained that he wanted a forging house. Although Uchiha Makoto was surprised why Naraku had this idea, he was still willing to help. Uchiha Makoto thought for a while and gave Naraku two options. One was to help Naraku find an empty house to build a forging room. If this was the case, he might have to talk to the clan. If it is fully supported by the clan, it may be necessary to distribute part or even a large part of the income to the clan. The second step is to find Granny Cat. The Ninja Cat clan has recently been planning an arms business and preparing to expand the business. If you ask Grandma Cat for help now, Grandma Cat will be very happy. Naraku thought for 2 seconds and gave the answer. He was going to find Granny Cat. First of all, he didn't want to get too involved with the Uchiha clan when it came to forging. Secondly, he could not accept the loss of control over weapons. What if we find a good weapon and the Uchiha clan snatches it away? Finally, he needs a certain amount of privacy. Therefore, the territory of the Ninja Cat clan with few people is the most suitable for him. So Naraku and Uchiha Makoto went to the clan of the Ninja Cat clan. Under the leadership of the Ninja Cat Hideyoshi, the two met Granny Cat. Looking at the cats running around, Naraku's hands were a little itchy and he wanted to stroke them. Little Makoto, what's the matter with you coming to see me? Granny Cat said, looking at Uchiha Makoto with a smile. Grandma Cat, I came to you to ask for something. Then Uchiha Makoto explained his purpose. At this time, Granny Cat noticed the handsome little boy Naraku next to Uchiha Makoto. Looking at Naraku, who was a bit thin, she was a little doubtful whether Naraku could make a qualified ninja tool. However, she did have a free location that she could provide to Naraku, and it was just a free move anyway. She was willing to let the little guy try. So Granny Cat looked at Naraku and said, Little Naraku, I do have an idle forging room. How are you going to cooperate with me? Naraku also said respectfully to Granny Cat, I want to rent your forging room. If I forge something, if you think it is okay, you can buy it directly at a price close to the market purchase price. But I may forge some items that are not for sale, those that I will not sell at will. Quote. Grandma Cat looked at Naraku's confident look and did not hit the young man. He quoted a relatively low rent, how about 50,000 taels? The signature ramen of Ichiraku Ramen in Hokage costs 60 taels, so for ease of understanding, let's convert it to RMB 15. Naraku calculated it and found that he could rent a forging room for a few hundred yuan a month, and quickly thanked Granny Cat. Then he went to see the forging room with Uchiha Makoto and Ninja Hideyoshi. Looking at the dilapidated but usable forging room, Naraku was very satisfied. So he directly took out 50,000 taels from his own treasury and asked the ninja cat Hideyoshi to give it to Granny Cat. Before leaving, he also handed Hideyoshi some catnip. Hideyoshi looked at Naraku with a sensible look, and then left. Afterwards, Naraku persuaded Uchiha Makoto to leave and started the next step. After Naraku called the system panel in his mind, he submitted the task application. Ding was accompanied by a crisp prompt sound, and lines of clear text flashed on the translucent screen. Mission completed. Congratulations to host for receiving the mission reward. 1. Blacksmithing skill bonus. When the host is in the exclusive forging room, the blacksmithing skill will receive a slight bonus, and the forging skill talent will also be significantly improved. 2. Zon Crimson Eye's World Ministerial Craftsmanship Technology. In order to maintain a long-term rule, the founding emperor of an empire used unimaginable huge financial resources and power. The world's top craftsmen were summoned, using legendary super dangerous species as raw materials, rare metals such as Aurea steel and a large number of lost secret techniques, to develop 48 irreproducible weapons, and claimed that it's called Taigu. 400 years after the creation of the Taigu, the emperor at that time also tried to create the Taigu but could not surpass the previous weapons. Therefore, the emperor regarded it as a shame, so he mocked these weapons as vassals and sealed them away. 3. Uchiha steal 1 copy. Naraku hurriedly received the mission reward. Soon, countless techniques for making the world's weapons of Zon Crimson Eyes appeared in Naraku's brain. It took Naraku a long time to recover. The ministerial tools and imperial tools in the world of Zon Red Eyes all have similar conditions. It's just that the Taigu requires higher configurations. 1. Materials for powerful creatures. 2. Rare metals such as Aurea steel. 3. The top skills of the most advanced craftsmen summoned from all over the world, including a large number of lost secret techniques. Considering so many material requirements, Naraku couldn't help but feel that it was a bit difficult to create a vassal, but he was ready to see if there was any improvement in the system panel. The text on the translucent screen continues to change, finally settling on the following message. System membership level. Junior. Name. Uchiha Naraku. Age. 8 years old. Comprehensive strength. Ninja school students. Blacksmith level. B. B-. Forging room bonus. Forging weapon bonus. 1. Talent copy. When others use the blacksmith's B level and above weapons, the blacksmith can randomly obtain the attributes, abilities, talents, ninjutsu, and bloodline brought by others. The stronger the weapon owner is, the higher the weapon compatibility, the higher the weapon mastery, the better the rewards. 2. Army of the Undead. Enemies killed using the blacksmith's B level and above weapons or the death of the weapon owner can be included in the blacksmith's exclusive Shinigami Hall. 3. Weapon kingship. The blacksmith has powerful suppression power over weapons, which can directly make the weapons ineffective and even backfire on the owner. Task item. Uchiha steal 1 copy. Blacksmith reputation. 0. Instructions for the lottery. You can use the reputation of the blacksmith to conduct a lottery. Every 10 points of reputation can be used for a lottery. The lottery may obtain precious biological materials, rare metals, and out-of-print forging technology. Evaluation. If the conditions are right, you now have the ability to create vassals. Because you have your own exclusive forging site, your forging technology has been enhanced, and you can create all vassal-level weapons. In terms of force, as a ninja school student, my strength is that of a ninja school student, not even a genin. But congratulations, you are not even qualified to enter the Jonin World battlefield. Looking at the property panel and system description, Naraku's heart felt hot. Especially those 2 forged weapon bonuses. Isn't this a crazy encouragement to him to forge weapons and give them to the strong? Not only is it a reward for a large number of attribute talents, it can even turn the dead souls of the strong man and the strong man himself into his own horses, and they all become brothers to his 10,000 soul banner. Although he can keep the weapons in his hands for his own use, as an 8-year-old ninja school student, he still has a few more weapons in his hands. What's the use? Just take a jonin, let alone a ceremonial weapon, even if it's an imperial weapon, so what? Therefore, the most important thing he should do at this stage is to take advantage of the novice protection period to give away all the weapons, and then improve his own hard power. If he acquires the Senju clan's physique, Hatake Tsukumo's sword skills, Sarutobi Hiruzen's 5 escape techniques, etc., these things will improve him even more than 10 years of training in the ninja school. He won't keep keeping things in his hands stupidly, only to be found to be of no use and kicked to the front line, and then act like a wasted protagonist. 30 years in Hidong and 30 years in Hexi. Don't bully young people into poverty. Then, when forced into a desperate situation on the battlefield, he would take out his weapon and pretend to slap him in the face. If Go is not a Go like that, then he is more stupid than a Go. He would never do this kind of thing that the protagonist of the internet novel liked to do 10 years ago. However, the materials and biological materials required for forging now also require him to put some thought into it. Now Naraku was preparing to try forging for the first time in his life. He thought about it and started with the simplest shuriken. Naraku, who had made preparations, stood quietly in the forging room with serious eyes. Various forging tools were placed in front of him. He carefully picked up a piece of thick iron and placed it in the stove to heat it, sparks flying everywhere. When the metal turned red, Naraku took it out with pliers and began to tap it lightly with a hammer. His movements gradually became skillful, and the shape of the shuriken began to emerge. Sweat fell from his forehead, but his eyes never left the work in his hand. As time goes by, the outline of the shuriken becomes clearer. Then put it into the quenching medium to complete the quenching. Then there was proper polishing, and now the sharp edge of the shuriken shone with a cold light. Then there is the crucial step of adding a secret technique for forging vassals. There are many secret techniques for forging vassals, but most of them require specific forging conditions or materials. Naraku can only choose a relatively simple secret technique. Naraku stopped what he was doing and stared at his work. At this time, the blacksmith system also started to evaluate. Shuriken laughing face plus. Limited by materials and blacksmith proficiency, even if B-level forging technology is used, the weapon still does not reach C level, but this weapon is already far ahead among weapons of the same level. Naraku reflected on what he had just done and found that he was a bit too ambitious and short-handed. It's just that my brain knows how to do it, but my hands don't know how to do it. Bite. It is detected that the blacksmith has forged a D-class weapon for the first time, and the reward is a free draw. Seeing this first reward, Naraku suddenly remembered that he should have another startup gift package. Brother Tongzi, where is my free gift package? Isn't it possible that I was embezzled by you? Naraku asked directly. It's a pity that the system is mentally retarded, not even artificially retarded. Moreover, Naraku felt that the first mission reward might be the starting gift package, so he had no choice but to give up. Next, Naraku began to forge crazily in the forging room. Since the forging room has exclusive talent bonuses for forging and a powerful memory inheritance of vassals, Naraku's forging proficiency is improving crazily. And Naraku is also very motivated. After all, it costs 100 taels to forge one of these things. Although Naraku is just a kid now, money is still very useful to Naraku. After all, the ninja world does not lack some precious materials, such as chakra metal. These all require money to buy, and Naraku doesn't want to live a pitiful life like Prince Naruto. Naraku kept working until late at night, but his spirit was very high. Because he felt like he had a big blow to the shuriken this time. He carefully picked up the newly crafted shuriken. Shuriken. C. Limited by materials, but using B-level forging technology and the forger having enough proficiency, this weapon reaches C level, which makes this shuriken extremely sharp and difficult to destroy. But this is also its limit. Then the system belatedly started reporting. Bite. Detected that the blacksmith has forged a C-level weapon for the first time, and will be rewarded with 10 free draws. Seeing the system reward, Naraku nodded with satisfaction. At this time, Naraku came back to his senses and suddenly felt that even though he was a Superman in the ninja world and had chakra, he still felt very tired. Moreover, the clothes on his body were completely soaked, and his face was completely dark. He looked like a brother to anyone who came to Nico. Considering that there was not much crude iron and charcoal left in the forging room, Naraku had no choice but to leave. Naraku was walking quietly on the roadside, and suddenly, a strange sound came into his ears. The sound sounded like someone was high on drugs, mixed with distorted breathing and occasional meowing sounds. Naraku stopped and looked around. trying to find the source of the sound. The cold night wind howled, making the leaves rustle, but the strange sound became clearer in the silence. His heart began to beat faster, and an uneasy feeling came over him. The sound seemed to be getting closer and closer, as if coming from a dark corner nearby. Naraku didn't see anyone, and Naraku thought to himself, he has come to the Cthulhu version of the I legend. Even if he has a system, he may not be able to survive it. It wasn't until Naraku approached carefully that he realized that the ninja cat Hideyoshi was getting high from the catnip he gave him. Completely throwing aside the 3 taboos of ninjas, Naraku looked at Hideyoshi's completely defenseless posture and thought of the arrogance of the ninja cat. He decided to teach it a lesson and went straight up to touch it. After touching it, I ran home. Naraku ran home and immediately started bathing, changing clothes, burning incense and meditating, and conducted the next lottery with an extremely pious attitude. He had saved up 11 lottery chances and was just waiting for one tonight. However, despite Naraku doing so many tricks, he still felt a little panicked in his heart. After all, this guy was a veritable non-chief in all the draws in his previous life, and was even called a guaranteed immortal by his peers. He didn't know if his non-chief's fate could be changed when he came to the new world. System, start the lottery. Naraku thought over and over again and prepared to draw a single draw first. After all, single draw miracles often happen in the lottery world. Lottery in progress. Naraku looked at the extremely small range of white and gold on the turntable and prayed silently in his heart. As a result, this time the turntable actually moved slowly to the white range. Mineral water bottle 1. As these cold words appeared in front of Naraku, Naraku immediately felt a sense of ruin. This incident also proves that the African chief was lucky enough to be brought to the ninja world by him. Now he could choose to calm down, but he was ready to try again. Anyway, there are a lot of high-quality materials in the ninja world, so he won't lose his reputation in the future. But if he can get good stuff now, he can assemble B-level weapons as quickly as possible. 10 consecutive draws. Start. Can 1. Coke 10. Milk 1 box. Blue Otsutsuki Kagaya's Fat Times. Green Food Processing Technology. Melon Seeds 10 kilograms. 8 Treasure Porridge 1 box. Ice Black Tea 1 box. Green Orangutan Crimson Iron, and Orangutan Crimson Ore 10 copies. Blue Dangerous Species Flying Mantis Corpse 1 copy. Naraku was immediately attracted to the body of the flying mantis. Based on his craftsmanship, he knew that this material was necessary to create Korichi's characters. Now he has just collected all the materials for Korichi Manji. And this is the whole body, there may be some scraps left to build something else. As for the green quality, Gorilla Crimson Sand Iron, and Gorilla Crimson Ore, as Naraku's attention moved, specific information about this material also appeared. Gang Crimson Iron, and Gang Crimson Ore, are the key materials for the Nichiren sword, the weapon used by the Demon Slayer swordsman in the Demon Slayer world. The material has the ability to absorb sunlight and will appear in different colors depending on the user's attributes. Naraku has a bold idea. If he combines this material with chakra metal, he may be able to further strengthen this ninja sword. Even if it can't be strengthened, it can still be considered as adding a skin to the ninja sword. Who doesn't want a cool ninja sword? I can only say that it is good. The specific information of another green food processing technology is a technology for processing special ingredients. The explanation seems very simple, but Naraku feels that this technique should have a big effect. So Naraku hurriedly received the message. A minute later, Naraku slowly opened his eyes. I am very satisfied with the technology just now. That technology mainly processes some special biological or plant ingredients, turning the inedible into edible, and it can also have certain benefits for the body after eating. Naraku also remembered that he was now restricting his biological materials. Biological materials were needed for both food processing and the creation of vassals. As for the biological materials of the ninja world, Naraku is a little hesitant to mess with it. After all, many creatures in the ninja world are intelligent and even belong to the tribe. For example, in the 3 Holy Lands, Naraku suspected that he was using a toad to refine weapons today, and the 3 Holy Lands would attack him tomorrow. But Naraku suddenly thought of people, such as the first-generation target cells that penetrated Hokage. If this thing was used, wouldn't the entire biological armor fly? Gradually, Naraku's mind opened up and he considered the better biological materials from the Hokage world, such as the blood chakra eyes of the Uchiha clan, the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, and the bones of the Yoruichi clan. There are even various tailed beasts. And that same shark muscle forged by an unknown creature that can swallow a large number of tailed beasts' chakra at once. Naraku retracted his divergent thinking and praised his own wisdom. As for the remaining melon seeds, cola, iced black tea and the like, Naraku said that he is a mobile store from now on. The last thing, Otsutsuki Kagaya's original fat version or something. I dare say it's blue quality. What's the use of this fat time? I, Naraku, am ashamed to associate with this dirty system. However, Naraku is still prepared to take a critical look at what is so special about this thing when he has time. In short, Naraku looked at the color marks above and roughly understood that as a junior member of the current system, white means thank you for your patronage, gray means ordinary items, green should be C level, blue should be B level, and gold should be A level. As for higher things, it may require a system upgrade. In addition, Naraku suddenly thought of something, that is, he has a system space, but it is full of system items. Can he put other items in it? So Naraku started to try it out, and found that the system really had an unused space to store items. After several attempts, Naraku found that the system had at least 10 cubic meters of remaining space. Naraku admired the harvest again and went to bed contentedly. Although this time it was almost a guarantee, it was also very precious to the non-chiefs. Wake up! Wake up! Uchiha Makoto shook Naraku out of bed. What's wrong, Makoto? Naraku woke up in a daze. Uchiha Makoto was a little angry, and his little face bulged. Today is school time, you must go to the first class of school. Listening to Uchiha Makoto's words, Naraku felt speechless. In my previous life, I studied hard for 20 years before entering society. Now that I have traveled through time, I still need to study. Naraku thought about this outrageous enrollment time and asked Uchiha Makoto, how old is Konoha this year? Uchiha Makoto thought for a while and informed Naraku that it was Konoha's 35th year. Naraku asked again, what grade am I in Jonin school now? After hearing Naraku ask this question, Uchiha Makoto's temper almost got angry. But she once again suppressed the anger in her heart and said, you should be in the 3rd year of ninja school now. After hearing this answer, Naraku began to think back. If he remembered correctly, the Second Ninja War started in 36 years and lasted until Konoha 40 years. Konoha Ninja School is generally a 6-year school, and the age of admission is generally around 5 to 6 years old. But during the war years, it will be shortened to 4 to 5 years, and students may even graduate early, and the age of admission will also be lowered. But for Naraku, as long as he successfully completes the 6-year system, it will be Konoha 39. After graduation, if there is a chance, it is best to spend a year wandering around Chunin. He can perfectly avoid the Second Ninja War. And according to the situation of the Second Ninja War, there should be no danger within Konoha. But Uchiha Makoto is 3 years older than Naraku, so he is very likely to go to the battlefield. Naraku can only take one step at a time. Later, Naraku went to ninja school with Uchiha Makoto. Due to the new grade, the staff has changed a bit, so I would like to introduce myself as usual. I am Namikaze Minato. I like reading and food. I hate wasting food. I want to be a Hokage in the future. After Xiao Wangmao finished speaking, he smiled warmly at everyone. Naraku looked at Xiao Wangmao's self-introduction on the stage and raised his eyebrows. Isn't this the Eternal Belt girl? At this time, several girls in the audience also started to stir up excitement. They shouted excitedly, so handsome. Naraku was also speechless towards these precocious girls. Namikaze Minato is one of the few honest people in the original work, and Naraku is prepared to spend more time with him. My name is Hyuga. I like flowers and hate bugs. I haven't decided on my future yet. Naraku looked at the cute white-eyed little loli with great interest. Of course, although this little loli is also very cute, Naraku is not a Lolita control. I'm just a little interested in her eye roll. Naraku guessed that this little loli was probably a branch house, and now it has a caged bird printed on it. My name is Uchiha. I like Brother Fugaku the most. I hate Naraku, the stinky fart. I want to be Brother Fugaku's strongest subordinate in the future. The fried-haired Uchiha kid said to Naraku aggressively. However, Naraku had no interest in playing with the kid and didn't pay attention to his eyes. My name is Uchiha Naraku. I like forging weapons, hate naughty brats, and want to be the strongest forger in the ninja world in the future. Naraku went up to introduce him, and gave a fake smile to the audience. This time, several nymphomaniac girls in the audience started to make a commotion again, saying things like how much I like it. Naraku could only curl his lips at this. I am the man you cannot have. Uchiha Naraku, you are a brat yourself. The Uchiha type angrily came over to claim his identity as a brat. The teacher next to him, Heiu Sarutobi, became interested in Uchiha Naraku, and Uchiha actually fell in love with blacksmithing. My name is Uzumaki Kashina. I like eating grapefruit and fish food. I hate people with smelly farts. I want to be a Hokage woman in the future. Naraku smiled slightly. Uzumaki Kashina will indeed become Hokage's woman in the future. Wherever the leaves fly, fire grows endlessly. The fire will continue to illuminate the village and make new leaves sprout. Hiruzen Sarutobi continued to start school as usual. Some of the brats below looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in admiration. Naraku also listened for a while with the mentality of just listening to it, and then gave a summary of some ideal thoughts. But they kept silent about how to work hard and how to ensure fairness. Naraku just feels bored with such boring things. If he had known this, he might as well just go to blacksmithing or practice. But Naraku was afraid of being noticed by Sarutobi Hiruzen, so he couldn't run away. I can only stand there and feel like my soul is wandering to the heavens. Soon it was afternoon, and outdoor classes finally started. The 3 body techniques, transformation technique, substitution technique, and clone technique are the focus of ninjutsu in the school graduation exam. Transformation. It is chakra's temporary change of objects. The easiest thing to change is naturally your own body, and its essence is change. Clone technique. It is to create a controllable virtual clone, a non-entity, that is, a holographic projection made by chakra, and its essence is creation. Substitute technique. Distortion of consciousness, which is the basis of genjutsu, and its essence is an illusion. Heiu Sarutobi explained the definition of Sankaya technique in detail. Naraku had already learned the knowledge explained by Heiu Sarutobi, and Naraku took this moment to prepare to think about the future or how to become stronger in a short time. Although he didn't say much before, he didn't want to be looked at by a group of people again. The kid was beaten by a group of people, and in the ninja world, there is no strength at all. He might be killed accidentally. Of course, Jonin and the like are not immune to death, but the probability will be much smaller. Naraku thought for a moment. The first thing was the cheat undead army. This should be a talent that can quickly improve personal strength. Although Naraku doesn't know how much strength Jonin will eventually be able to exert if he joins the undead army. But compared to basic ninjutsu and taijutsu training and precise control of chakra, it should be much faster. Of course, the above basic training cannot be left behind, and there is even a certain amount of actual combat. The ninja world is not short of those fighting geniuses who lack abilities but can defeat the strong with the weak. Of course, there is no shortage of players with high scores and low abilities. For example, Shimura Danzo's cool move of slicing Susanoo with kunai. Izanagi was used for counter-killing, but he used Izanagi as a resurrection coin. It was so stupid. Naraku concentrated his thoughts again, and he thought of Konoha 36. The Konoha hidden village troops of the Country of Fire, led by 3 disciples of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the Sand hidden village troops of the Wind Country, led by Granny Chiyo, and the Iwagakure village troops of the Earth Country started a melee in the Rain Country at the junction of the 3 parties. A lot of people will probably die at this time, and this is his chance. The only thing worth worrying about now is whether White Fang will participate in the war. If White Fang does, with his shadow level strength as a master of swordsmanship, the quantity and quality of enemy kills should be better than any of the Sannin. But Naraku still covets Tsunade Haime's talent of the Senju clan. If he is lucky, he can get the blood of the Senju clan. It can be said that Naraku's strength has been greatly improved. After thinking about it, Naraku decided to take them all. He planned to build Kurichimanji or other B-level weapons first and give them to White Fang. Later, When you have reputation points, you can draw materials to make other things and distribute them to other strong people. Thinking of this, Naraku has a better plan for the future. So Naraku concentrated on practicing basic ninjutsu and basic taijutsu. He executed every action meticulously, as if pouring all his energy into it. Not only that, Naraku also took the initiative to invite Namikaze Minato to participate in the practice. Namikaze Minato was a little surprised that Uchiha Naraku, a family ninja, showed favor to him. Mainly, Uchiha Naraku was not as arrogant as other Uchiha before, but she didn't like to make friends with others. After all, the current Namikaze Minato is just a child, with Uchiha Naraku's high rank and sincerity. The main reason is that Naraku can always come up with some seemingly fresh and refined but very philosophical views or ideas, and the relationship between the two has been heated up to a certain extent. Naraku, who rushed home after school, did not go directly to the forging room, but began to rummage through the boxes. Because he wants to learn a skill. Although Father Jonin died, he still left some ninjutsu. Naraku looked at the several ninjutsu scrolls in front of him. Fire Style Great Fireball Technique. Fire Style Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Fire Style Great Dragon Fire Technique. Uchiha Style Swordsmanship. Shadow Clone Technique. Naraku's eyes lit up when he saw the Shadow Clone Technique. This technique has great potential. So I started to practice hard. After all, it depends on whether I will go to class later. But then Uchiha Naraku faced difficulties. I don't know whether it was because of insufficient chakra control ability, or because the shadow clone technique is B-level and relatively difficult. Naraku practiced for quite some time but still didn't get the hang of it. So Naraku asked the system if it could give him a specific panel to help him intuitively see his personal force situation. This time the system actually has this panel, but it was never needed before. System membership level, Junior. Name, Uchiha Naraku. Age, 8 years old, 80 years old. Chakra attributes, Fire, Yin, Yang. Yang attributes can be acquired through acquired training, as is the case with Uchiha Sarana. There are 2 other Uchiha with Yang attributes. Uchiha Madara has Yang attributes, and Uchiha Itachi has Yang attributes. Moreover, people of the Uchiha clan do not always intermarry within the clan. It is normal for 1 or 2 to inherit the Yang chakra from their parents. Closing parenthesis. Sharingan, not opening eyes. Stamina, C. Spirit, C+. Chakra, 0.2 cards card, the amount of chakra of Hokage Ninja Part 1 Konoha Jonin Kakashi. I specifically inquired about the protagonist chakra. Uchiha Sasuke is a young genius of the Uchiha clan. When he first graduated, Kakashi said that he could use Reikiri 4 times, and Sasuke could use Chidori twice. In addition, Kakashi is the creator of ninjutsu, and the chakra utilization rate of using Reikiri is definitely higher than that of Sasuke. Think about it, Naruto used a huge amount of chakra to summon tadpoles. So Sasuke conservatively estimates that it will be 0.5 cards higher. Kakashi in the first part is indeed not that strong. Before teaching Sasuke Chidori, Kakashi mentioned this problem when he was doing rock climbing training. I didn't expect that I would find it so difficult to climb the cliff. My body has changed. Dull. Chakra control ability, poor. Ninjutsu, clone technique beginner, transformation technique beginner, substitute technique beginner, fire style great fireball technique beginner. Taijutsu, Uchiha fluid technique basic. Genjutsu, none. Evaluation. Your combat ability in the ninja school is considered to be in the upper middle range. Looking at his own panel, Naraku realized that his regular chakra attribute was only fire. The amount of chakra is actually only 0.2 calories, which is simply a disgrace to the time traveler. However, chakra is generally linked to the body and spirit, and will grow as he grows. Chakra will most likely surpass Kakashi. Then there was the poor chakra control ability. Naraku finally understood why he couldn't learn the shadow clone technique in a short time. His chakra level is not high. Chakra control ability is poor. The combination of these 2 factors makes a B-level ninjutsu out of reach for him, but Naraku feels that he should be able to learn it in a week. After understanding his shortcomings, Naraku gave up training first, and planned to practice chakra control ability during class later in the day. As for his preparation, he would practice during the day and blacksmith at night. Taking into account the lack of pig iron before and the chakra metal that may be needed to forge B-level weapons later, Naraku went directly to find Grandma Cat. Naraku looked at Hideyoshi, who was standing on the side of the road and seemed to be doubting that life was wrong, and said hello happily. "Hideyoshi, what's wrong?" Hideyoshi said numbly to Naraku, "Yesterday, after I sucked the catnip you gave me, I lay down on the roadside. I have to say, your products are indeed very pure." Hideyoshi gave Naraku an affirmative look. "I felt like someone was touching me later, and the movements were very rough." At this time, Naraku seemed to see a little shyness on Hideyoshi's cat face. "In the end, that fool actually touched off my proud smart hair, meow." Naraku suddenly felt a little embarrassed and could only censor Hideyoshi. The reason why it was stolen was because it did not abide by the 3 ninja taboos. Even a ninja cat should abide by the 3 ninja taboos. And it shamelessly lies on the roadside to seduce others to make mistakes. Later, Hideyoshi began to quibble. "Catnip is not wine, it doesn't count. Cats are poor." Seeing that Hideyoshi was still explaining himself, Naraku directly asked him to take him to find Granny Cat. "Grandma Cat, here are the shurikens I forged before. Especially this shuriken, it's very good." Listening to Naraku's confident words, Grandma Cat was a little surprised. She originally thought that this kid was just going to forge for fun. She was even prepared to return the rent to him after a while, but she didn't expect that she actually forged it after listening to this guy's words. Granny Cat looked at the dozen shurikens in front of her and found that every one of them was a fine product. In particular, one of the shurikens with the Nai logo seems to have exceeded the limits of conventional shurikens and is sharper than other high-quality shurikens. Soon the prompt accepted by Granny Cat, blacksmith reputation +1, appeared on the system panel. Naraku felt sour in his heart, but in order not to affect his daily life and fighting, Naraku still chose do not disturb messages. At this time, Granny Cat finally recovered from the previous shock, and she confirmed again that it was forged by Naraku himself. He gave a very high evaluation to Naraku. "As long as you don't die young, you will definitely become a famous blacksmith in the ninja world in the future." Naraku accepted Grandma Cat's evaluation with peace of mind. "Little Naraku, these shurikens cost 200 taels for ordinary ones and 1,000 taels for high-quality ones. Do you think that's okay?" Grandma Cat asked Naraku what he thought. Naraku found that the price of the shuriken was much higher than he thought, so he agreed. "Okay, Cat Granny, I agree. But you have to do some publicity for me, especially the high-quality shuriken. You have to tell others that I forged it." Although Granny Neko felt that having a great reputation might bring some danger to Naraku, considering that the ninja world generally did not kill blacksmiths and there were no records of entry into Konoha. "So I agreed." Naraku continued. "Grandma Cat, I want to forge a better weapon and see where my current limit is. Can I buy some chakra metal from you?" Grandma Cat raised a finger. Naraku guessed. 100,000 taels. Granny Cat shook her head and said, 500 grams of crude chakra metal costs 1 million taels. 1 million taels is still a crude product. I don't know how much chakra metal can be extracted by then. Naraku suddenly had the feeling that the late emperor had just started his business, but the middle path collapsed. He knew this thing was expensive, but he didn't expect it to be so expensive. He originally wanted to make new weapons using chakra metal and materials of green and above levels. Now it seems that this can only be used as embellishment or to form lines inside the weapon. The more critical problem is that he does not have the 1 million taels at all. Seemingly seeing Naraku's difficulties, Granny Cat was ready to make an investment. "Then I will give you a piece of chakra metal first, and you will forge weapons for me later. I will give you double the market price for conventional weapons, and 10 times for high-quality products. If there is anything in the future, we can continue to talk." Naraku listened to Granny Cat's conditions and naturally agreed readily. Later, I purchased some pig iron from Granny Cat. In fact, he could buy iron ore, but the step of forging pig iron was too time-consuming. After finishing all this, Naraku went back under the moonlight. A week has passed in the blink of an eye. During this week, in addition to daily forging, Naraku went to school and practiced the shadow clone technique crazily. That day, Granny Cat found Naraku. little Naraku, the weapon you forged is really successful. Nowadays, this weapon with the Nai logo is somewhat sought after in a small area on the market. After all, these are all high-quality products. Naraku just took it for granted, because with his improvement in proficiency, almost all of the weapons such as shurikens and senbons forged by Naraku are high-quality products. Granny Cat continued. Naru-chan, can you forge some other weapons now? For example, Fuma shuriken and ninja swords. Some people want to customize some weapons after using the shuriken you forged. This is what Naraku has been waiting for. After all, his cheat needs to be a B-level weapon to be effective, and he currently lacks materials and opportunities. So he said seriously to Granny Cat, Grandma Cat, if you have such a customer in the future, please tell me. I want to become the strongest blacksmith in the ninja world. So I have long wanted to forge some stronger ninja swords. Quote. Grandma Mao thought for a while. If you are going to take the road of high-quality customized weapons, then you can open a store and sell your own high-quality weapons in the store. And provide customized weapons services. Naraku watched Granny Cat being willing to take herself out after trying the huge profits from his weapon. It happened that he didn't have time to visit the store, so Naraku asked Grandma Cat to be responsible for managing the store and earn 28 cents, Naraku ate and Grandma Cat too. Grandma Mao later agreed, and then called out a cute girl, Shin, who looked to be in her teens. This is my goddaughter Shin, she will be in charge of the store from now on. Granny Cat continued. This is little Naraku, even though he is still a student of the ninja school, his forging skills are very high. Naraku also nodded politely and then left. Because Naraku suddenly realized a problem, that is, his weapons were popular in a small area. Wouldn't that gain a lot of reputation as a blacksmith? Naraku opened the system panel and looked at his blacksmith reputation. Blacksmith reputation. 112. Naraku raised the corners of his mouth slightly, he could feel good again. Naraku returned home again and started the usual lottery process again. Bathing, burning incense, fasting, and meditating. In Naraku's view, these seemingly useless rituals. It's indeed of no use, but at least it can ensure that he won't be so excited later when it's time to make a guarantee again. This time it is customary to draw a single wave first. Lottery in progress. Originally, Naraku no longer set any limits in his mind. Years of living as an African chief made him understand that if you don't have expectations, you won't be disappointed. So he watched the pointer rotate silently, and was determined that no matter where it was, it would never break the defense. But as the pointer slowly approached the blue color, it slowly stopped. The corner of Naraku's mouth was harder to suppress than AK. Blue Otsutsuki Keigaya's corset. What a sin. Naraku completely broke his guard. Is this shabby forging system inside the hook's head? It's hard to come up with a blue color, but what is it? Otsutsuki's underwear. He didn't taste the Otsutsuki fatty last time. Bah, it's research. The result is this again. Are you planning to let him get the Otsutsuki suit and cosplay later, and then have Black Zetsu recognize his mother? Naraku took a moment to calm down. Then he got angry and did 10 consecutive lashes. And Feifei scarf 10. Super delicious taro paste bobo milk tea 10 bottles. Coarse iron 1000 kg. Mineral water bottle 1. Green refined iron 10 kg. It is refined from ordinary iron or using special technology. It has strong pressure resistance and heat resistance, can guide magic, and is a metal needed for making weapons. Blue dangerous species Waterosaur corpse 1 copy, a dangerous aquatic species in the world of Crimson Eyes. When encountering danger, it will enter a violent state. All the blue level dangerous species below are corpses, while the golden ones are alive. This is due to different weapon forging requirements. Boneless chicken feet 10 kg. Sauerkraut fish 10 bags. Add calcium milk 1 box. Blue Oliha steel 1 copy, a special and precious metal in the world of Crimson Eyes. This lottery almost made Naraku cry. After all, he felt that he was possessed by the European emperor, and he actually had 2 normally usable blue items. And he was very curious about the item fine iron, because the functions of this material and chakra metal seemed somewhat similar. Naraku hurriedly took out the fine iron and chakra metal, and then slowly poured chakra into the material. Then he found that the conductivity of chakra metal to chakra was a little better than that of fine iron, but the difference between them was not particularly big. And according to the instructions on the system panel, Naraku feels that the strength of fine iron will be stronger than chakra metal. Naraku thought that with 10 kilograms of fine iron in hand, he could definitely make a B-level weapon. The next day, Uchiha Makoto didn't come to wake Naraku up, waiting for Naraku to wake up and find that the morning session was over. If you haven't traveled through time, you should go to bed as early as 8 o'clock in the morning, but if you have traveled through time, you should go to bed as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. Regarding Zalba, Naraku can only say, I'm going to Zalba. Liu Heizu version. Dang Uchiha, why did you miss a class? Naraku was going to take a look at his shop. He was curious about who his first customer would be. Naraku followed the route guided by Granny Neko and quickly arrived at the store. He saw that the name of the store was Ninako Grocery Store. It made Naraku feel simple and crude. The cute girl Shin also said respectfully when she saw Naraku, Master Naraku, why are you here? Naraku said that he just came to take a look. Just as Naraku was about to walk around the store, a cheerful voice came from outside, Miss Shin, what happened to the customized weapons you mentioned before? Naraku looked at this kind of person who had the temperament of Uzumaki Naruto and felt a little familiar. Shin also responded to Senju Naoki, oh, it's Mr. Naoki. This is Naraku, the master who forged the fine shurikens before. Why don't you talk to Naraku-sama? Naraku was very happy when he realized that this person was Nezuki. After all, he was one of the few pure inheritors of the Senju clan's bloodline in the ninja world. Naoki looked at Naraku, who seemed to be a few years younger than him, and couldn't help but feel a little unconvinced. He originally thought that the blacksmith master would be a strong uncle or even a strong old man. However, Naoki was still very educated and said, Mr. Naraku, I would like to ask you to forge a ninja sword for me. But the style needs to be specially made. Do you think it is okay? Naraku pulled the rope tree to find a place to sit down and said, do you have any other requirements for the knife? Naoki said, this is a gift for teacher Orochimaru. Although teacher Orochimaru already has some good swords, this sword should be a high-quality one. Hearing this, Naraku had a plan in his mind, oh. It's actually a gift for Lord Orochimaru. If I say I can forge a very strong sword, do you want it? It's just that the budget may be a little more. Naraku looked at the rope tree with a kind smile. Shungshu didn't realize that he was going to bleed hard. How much does it cost? The cost price is 10 million taels. This is the price of my first customized weapon. Plus this is a gift for Orochimaru-sama, otherwise it would never be so cheap. And you can wait until I forge it before choosing whether to buy it. Naraku said confidently. Seeing how confident Naraku was, he added that he didn't even need a deposit. Shungshu could only choose to believe it. Then Naoki handed over a drawing and asked Naraku to basically follow the appearance of this sword. Naraku also took over the drawings and asked the rope tree to come over in 3 days. Naraku didn't stay in the shop for long, but went directly to the forging room without stopping. Now Naraku feels that his level should be enough to forge B-level weapons, and now that he has the opportunity to try it, he is naturally ready to try it. Naraku was going to directly forge an enhanced version of Kurichimanji for Orochimaru, and he thought about it carefully. White Fang's fighting style is not suitable for Kiraikimanji's ability. White Fang is more of a powerful one-hit kill. Moreover, this one-hit kill can still be accomplished with the chakra short blade. He is more suitable for strengthening other abilities. Anyway, he definitely does not lack the bloodletting ability like Kiraikimanji. Orochimaru, on the other hand, has a much higher affinity for this sword. After all, Orochimaru prefers to deal with maneuvers in combat. If there is some poison on the sword, combined with the bloodletting effect, it should be very good. It was at this time that Naraku suddenly realized how ridiculous it was to ask the ninja clan to sell equipment. Different people are suitable for different styles of weapons, and one weapon is beginning to suit different people. Higher level weapons will have higher requirements for their owners. Even weapons like Thor's hammer, few people can hold it. If he sells it publicly again, the one with the highest price will get it. There is a high probability that what he finally forged will eat up dust, or fall into the hands of a person who is not so suitable. Then it falls into an endless loop, with no powerful weapons, right pointing arrow, no reputation points, right pointing arrow, no way to get good materials through draws, right pointing arrow, no way to forge powerful weapons. For Naraku, it doesn't matter whether weapons are important or not. As long as the passive is full, the copied talents are enough, the skills acquired are stronger, and there are more brothers in the Shinigami Temple. Letting Naraku give away weapons for free is not a loss, not to mention that as long as he is strong, it is not impossible to snatch the weapons back. Therefore, he still has to send the weapons to the most suitable people, rather than buying them for the highest price. But this will also expose his ability to forge weapons, but even if it is handed over to the ninja clan, he can still be traced. So Naraku decided to recruit more backers and make more friends. Moreover, the weapons he forged in the early stage were just that strong, until he actually forged a particularly powerful artifact. Presumably he no longer has to worry about being exposed. Considering that this was his first time forging a B-level weapon, Naraku was prepared to bleed a lot. In terms of raw materials, Naraku took out a portion of blue Uchiha steel, a portion of blue danger species flying mantis, 1 kilogram of refined iron, and 500 grams of chakra metal. As for the secret technique of forging, I also chose a secret technique that is more time-consuming among the secret techniques of weapon forging. This secret technique is not the same as the previous secret technique of forging shurikens. Compared with the previous secret techniques used to forge shurikens, the new secret techniques take longer and are more difficult. It was precisely because of this that Naraku asked the rope tree to come back in 3 days. Then the hard forging begins. On the first day, Naraku was busy in the forging room. He carefully placed the Aurea steel and chakra metal into a high-temperature furnace and slowly heated them to their melting point. As the temperature increases, the two metals begin to melt and fuse together, forming a powerful and solid hybrid substance. Next, Naraku performed a series of mysterious techniques, using spiritual power to guide the flow and deformation of the mixed material, constantly adjusting its shape and structure to ensure that it could become the ideal main backbone. After completing the initial shaping, Naraku picked up a sharp knife and accurately cut off the hands and feet of the flying mantis. These limbs are placed in special containers and carefully refined and processed to remove useless impurities and partial tissue. Through complex processes, the truly valuable components are gradually separated and purified, finally presenting a black droplet-like substance. The next day, Naraku concentrated on operating the equipment. He carefully dripped the black liquid droplets onto the main body's backbone. Each drop was like a seed containing endless energy and potential. These droplets seemed to have their own consciousness, quickly integrating into the backbone and integrating closely with it without any sense of disobedience, as if they were born a part of each other. As the droplets are continuously injected, the backbone of the main body begins to undergo wonderful changes. In this process, the most critical step is to use black droplets to carefully carve special textures on the main body of the material. These lines are intricate, like mysterious runes or ancient spells. Each line carries special meaning and power. In this way, the energy in the black droplets is stimulated to the greatest extent and perfectly integrated with the subject. The sweat on Naraku's head slowly flowed down while he was carving. After 3 hours, Naraku finally completed the work. Naraku then took out the last material he needed, fine iron. But Naraku thought about it and realized that the green level, Gorilla Crimson Sand Iron, and Gorilla Crimson Ore might have other uses for people in the ninja world. So I also took out a portion of Gorilla Crimson Sand Iron and Gorilla Crimson Ore to melt. Naraku then integrated the melted Gorilla Crimson Sand Iron, Gorilla Crimson Ore, and fine iron into one body, then covered it on the previous main body's backbone, and then used secret techniques to supplement it. Finally, the bold body of the sword is formed. Day 3. By the third day, Naraku had become a little tired. Looking at the sword in his hand, he seemed to be looking at some peerless beauty. And Naraku's energy seemed to be sucked away by this sword. However, Naraku calmed himself down and started the final forging work. In the end, the sword formed a clear shape after being forged time and time again. Of course, Naraku did not forget to add a unique logo during this process. It is not obvious now that future weapons with this logo will definitely be very popular. Later, I will use the leftover materials to make a scabbard that is more suitable for this sword. At this time, Naraku looked at the sword in his hand. Different from the common swords in Japanese anime, this sword had two edges. Without the injection of chakra, the whole thing looks dark and unremarkable. Only the user and the enemy will discover the true power of this sword. Bite. Congratulations to the blacksmith for forging a B-level weapon, and you will be rewarded with 100 draws. Naraku then appraised the sword in his hand. Tong Yimanji Special Edition. This sword has been infused with the forger's efforts and uses a large number of precious materials: Aurea steel, chakra metal, dangerous species, orangutan scarlet sand iron, orangutan scarlet ore, and fine iron. A variety of secret techniques are used in the forging process. It took 3 days to forge. It finally reached a level that far surpassed the original weapon. This sword is edged on both sides and is 1.2 meters long. It has strong and sharp properties and can smoothly conduct chakra. Skills. 1. Store a certain amount of positive chakra to use a special powerful blow against the enemy. 2. As long as the wound hit by Kiraikimanji cannot be recovered, even if it is a scratch, the wound will always exist and cannot be healed if it continues to lose blood. Physical sutures and sealing must be used for at least a week to stop bleeding. Use advanced medical ninjutsu to reduce bleeding time. Otherwise, you will keep bleeding to death. Looking at the sword's first skill, chakra, which stores the yang attribute, Naraku knew he had made the right bet. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. At this time, Naraku looked at his newly forged sword and transformed into Uchiha, laughing wildly at the four heroes. This sword was the beginning of his rise to the top of the ninja world. After taking care of his personal hygiene, Naraku brought Orochimaru Special Edition to Mau Mau grocery store. At this time, Shungshu had already been waiting at the grocery store. Mr. Naoki, this is the sword you need. After saying that, Naraku handed the Orochimaru Special Edition to Naoki. The rope tree also slowly opened the sword, although it looked ordinary and tough and appeared black. But now Shu felt a hint of the sharpness of the sword. This sword is not as simple as it seems. Find a training ground, Naraku said slowly. Behind the rope, Naraku took Naraku to the training ground. Naraku looked at Uncle Snake in front of him and felt numb. Do you always ask the owner of the gift to try it out before giving it away? Don't you need a bit of mystery? But considering that Uncle Snake has not yet turned evil, and he is a dignified Uchiha, it should be fine. Probably. Naraku could only go up and say hello. Hello, Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru also smiled and said, you know me. I just heard that the 3 disciples of Lord 3rd Generation are all top-notch ninja geniuses, especially you, Lord Orochimaru. Naraku immediately flattered him. You are not simple at all. You can forge such a good sword at such a young age. Orochimaru responded with a business compliment. Then Naraku explained the special features of this weapon. In addition to the common tough and sharp characteristics, this knife also has 2 skills. Skill. The 2 of them were very curious, secretly guessing whether it was a ninja sword skill like that of the 7 ninja swordsmen. Yes. First of all, it stores a certain amount of positive chakra to use a special powerful blow on the enemy. Secondly, as long as the wound hit by Kiraikimanji cannot be recovered, even if it is a scratch, the wound will always exist. Blood loss cannot be cured, Naraku said confidently. As a scientific researcher, Orochimaru discovered the key to the problem: it has never been cured. It's not that it can't be cured. It's just that if you want to be cured, you have to leave the battle and use physical sutures and seals for at least a week to stop the bleeding. Of course, using advanced medical ninjutsu can reduce the bleeding time. Naraku said with an embarrassed smile. Shenshu could not hold back his curiosity and said, doesn't it mean that as long as you cut the enemy and continue the battle, you can passively kill the enemy directly by bleeding? You can say that, but it is not easy for a ninja to keep fighting with a strong enemy without letting him escape. Rope tree. But in some special situations such as the battlefield, or with the help of companions, this goal can also be achieved. Orochimaru never forgets to teach the rope tree. Naraku didn't want to talk anymore. In fact, even he himself didn't know much about this weapon, so he wanted to see how effective it was in actual combat. To put it simply, Naraku is bored and wants to see rivers of blood. So at Naraku's signal, Orochimaru's master and apprentice were ready to try this knife that Naraku was confident about. Naraku, on the other hand, was observing the actual combat data of the sword. Teacher Orochimaru, you have to be careful. I have never tried this sword, Naoki reminded Orochimaru. Orochimaru responded, Naoki, your worries are unnecessary. Don't you have confidence in the teacher's strength? Naraku felt it was completely unnecessary, thinking that even if Konoha exploded, Orochimaru would be fine. If only one person could live in Konoha, it would be Orochimaru. Orochimaru is truly the ultimate in life-saving ability. Later, Orochimaru and Naoki formed a seal of opposition, and the two began to fight. Because it was mainly a test of the sword, Orochimaru did not launch an active attack. Instead, he waited for the rope tree to launch an attack. When the rope tree injected the water attribute chakra into Kurichimanji, the entire sword turned blue. The appearance of the knife has also been greatly improved. The color change is related to the chakra attribute. Is there any special use for this? Orochimaru was also observing. Naoki was also very surprised by the color and loved the sword even more. Unfortunately, he was not a ninja who mainly used swords. He thought that he would ask Master Naraku to create a suitable weapon later. Later, Naoki started a sword duel with Orochimaru, and Orochimaru also took out his sword at this time. Of course, this swordsmanship duel was entirely due to Orochimaru giving way to Naoki. Naoki has just graduated from the ninja school, and his strength is close to that of a chunin. At best, he is a chunin. Facing Orochimaru, whose strength has surpassed that of elite jonin at this time, it is completely inadequate. After a few fights between the two, Orochimaru found that in terms of toughness and sharpness, the sword in Naoki's hand was not inferior to the sword in his own hand. Even the sword in the hand of the rope tree is attached with chakra, and the attack distance of the entire sword is increased a little. The rope tree saw the opportunity and burst out the yang chakra that had been secretly poured into Tong Yuan. Suddenly, an unrivaled power was transmitted from the sword of the rope tree. The sword in Orochimaru's hand was shaken directly, and Orochimaru was very surprised by this power. You must know that the strength between him and Naoshu is several levels higher, although Naoshu is a member of the Senju clan and is stronger. But the blow just now was indeed a bit powerful. Then the rope tree took the opportunity to slash towards Orochimaru's chest. In fact, Orochimaru could easily dodge this sword, even if he no longer had a weapon in his hand. But Orochimaru wanted to try the sword's second ability, so he accepted the blow without much defense. Naoshu was very anxious when he saw that he had scratched his teacher, and stopped fighting directly. Bite. Senju rope tree becomes the temporary owner of the weapon, and initially uses Kurichimanji, talent copy activation, blacksmith chakra adds 1 card. Naraku who was next to him got 1 card of chakra directly, which was very refreshing. Teacher, are you okay? I'm going to find my sister now, Naoki said concernedly to Orochimaru. But Orochimaru was much calmer and said, no need, just wait for me. Orochimaru began to try chakra sealing and some other conventional methods to stop bleeding, but found that there seemed to be a magical power in the wound that made his conventional methods ineffective. The more Orochimaru experimented, the more interesting he became. Seeing that the blood on the teacher's chest couldn't stop at all, Naoki was also a little concerned but confused. Orochimaru looked at Naoki and was about to call Tsunade. Orochimaru could only terminate the experiment immediately. Orochimaru thought about it and found that the power of the knife mainly affected the skin. He thought again of snakes shedding their skin. Maybe he needs to develop a technique similar to that of a snake shedding its skin, so that he can avoid the continuous damage caused by some enemies stalking, such as fire style or the current knife wound. Orochimaru tried to harden the skin of the wound on his chest and pull it out, but it was very slow. In the end, the skin on Orochimaru's wound completely hardened and scabbed, but it did not shed. It is foreseeable that you should not engage in high-intensity fighting during this period, and it will get better if you continue it for a while. Naraku never dreamed that the appearance of Kurichimanji would actually give Orochimaru the idea of developing the snake-shedding technique in advance. Seeing Orochimaru who was no longer bleeding, Naoki breathed a sigh of relief. Naraku also came over and said to Orochimaru and Naoki, how is it? How about this sword? Is it worth 10 million taels? Mr. Naraku is really a great talent. After trying this sword, I feel that this sword is really stronger than many of the ninja swords among the 7 ninja swordsmen. 10 million taels is not enough to match this one. The value of the sword. Orochimaru has great respect for talent. That's right. The rope tree also transformed into a repeater. In fact, Orochimaru is more curious about how this sword was forged, but the forging technology is a bit like the secret skills of the secret arts family, which must not be passed on to others. So Orochimaru didn't speak. When Naraku faced the compliments from the two people, he said calmly, "Master Orochimaru, you can just call me Naraku. As for the value of this sword, I think it can only be realized in the hands of the right person. If possible, you would use this knife to kill more enemies. In other respects, I hope you can help promote it if you have the opportunity." Quote. Orochimaru listened to Naraku's words, and it was natural for the one in front to kill more enemies. If there is a good weapon, he will definitely use it. The latter's excessive publicity made Orochimaru feel that something was wrong. After all, some people in the ninja world are not very nice. It was them who were talking about taking advantage of others. Orochimaru confirmed again, "Are you sure, Naraku?" Naraku naturally wouldn't be too scared, after all, given the current situation. The most painful situation for him was that he was forced to hand over the forging methods of his ministers and was locked up in a small black room for forging. This is also the worst-case scenario, and even if he is locked up in a dark room, this will make him stronger faster. He will make the enemy regret locking out a monster. Naraku said firmly, "I want to become the strongest blacksmith in the ninja world. This is a necessary step for me." Seeing Naraku's decisive answer, Orochimaru also seriously agreed, and promised that he would protect him to the best of his ability. The rope tree also expressed support. Naraku looked at the support of the two people in front of him and felt that he could do something big. Taking into account the 100 lottery chances in his hand, Naraku prepared to come to Boda and forge more weapons. As for the Senju bloodline in front of him, Naraku would naturally not give up. Naraku recalled the plot. This year is the 35th year of Konoha. If nothing happens, the rope tree will be blown up by the ridiculous detonating charm next year, or die under Orochimaru's nose. Naraku wasn't sure if there was anything fishy in this. If the protagonist didn't die, it wouldn't be strange to be killed by the detonating talisman. But the reality is that on the surface, Senju's heirs are constantly decreasing, Naoki died, and Tsunade stopped talking to her partner after his death. In the end, she was still single during the Boruto Den. Many of the remaining people have integrated into the village, and there are a bunch of people with Senju blood who went to participate in Orochimaru's experiment, hoping to awaken the wood style, but in the end, one of them who participated in the experiment failed. In other words, a foreign baby succeeds but can only engage in greening. This made Naraku think wildly. But now that Uchiha Naraku is here, Konoha will be at peace. With him, Naraku, the rope tree will never die in a short period of time. Even if Jesus comes, he can't take him away. Naraku said, "He has gathered the wool." And Tsunade, "Don't fall in love with Kato Dan, that guy is handsome, but he looks like a short-lived guy at first glance. To put it bluntly, he can't control it. Only he, Uchiha Naraku, can control Tsunade Haim. When the time comes, there will be 10 or 20 children, and everyone will be equipped with good weapons. Let's see if anyone can plot against the Senju clan. That is to say, Senju Tobarama is not here, otherwise he would not be able to think of it if his brain was broken. The evil Uchiha kid in his mouth is actually willing to do this for the continuation of the Senju clan. Of course, it is also possible to see such a shameless Uchiha Naraku, directly using the Flying Thunder God technique to cut Uchiha Naraku into pieces with 1,000 swords. Naraku said directly to the rope tree, "You are my first customized customer, so prepare your money. Of course, you can also provide me with any good biological materials or metals. I will forge a custom one for you. Weapons." Shungshu also happily agreed. Orochimaru also felt itchy when he heard Naraku talking about biological materials. After all, he specializes in biological materials. Orochimaru secretly wondered whether this weapon incorporated some organ or limb of a living thing into the weapon, but how could biological materials be combined with different metals? Orochimaru decided to go back and see what was special about this sword. When Naraku returned home, he saw an angry Uchiha Makoto. "Naraku, where have you been?" You haven't been to school for 3 days, and your teacher Heiu Sarutobi is ready to come to the Uchiha clan to find you. Naraku kept some of the recent events and spoke out. When he heard Naraku say that he had forged a ninja sword that was comparable to the weapons of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Uchiha Makoto couldn't hold back. Naraku, how could you sell such a precious weapon so easily? If you need it, you can buy it from the Chian clan. Hearing Uchiha Makoto's words, Naraku felt helpless. In front of this Konoha village is the will of fire brainwashing, and behind it is the family glory brainwashing. It seems that I need to spend more time to broaden Uchiha Makoto's horizons. Of course, he also knew that Uchiha Makoto was doing it for his own good. After all, this precious weapon could be easily sold. There may be people in the clan who are dissatisfied with him, but Naraku doesn't care about this. The current Uchiha is too cowardly but also too arrogant. This magnanimity is not worthy of his excessive dedication. However, he is still planning to forge some weapons for the clan in the future. He will not abandon the blood power of the Uchiha clan, and he is now living under the protection of the family. Naraku said to Uchiha Makoto, "Family, I will never forget it. There will be more in the future, but now they may not be interested in my weapons. After all, some Uchiha are so arrogant that just having those eyes is enough, and everything else is of no use." Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting on his Hokage office chair, flipping through documents in his left hand and holding a cigarette in his right hand. Suddenly, there was a loud, bang, sound, and the door was slammed open. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew who was coming without even raising his head. "Hiruzen, I want to be alone with you." The person who came was Shimura Danzo. His tone was firm and unquestionable. Sarutobi Hiruzen slowly raised his head, exhaled a puff of smoke, and then asked calmly, "Who is it?" Danzo replied without hesitation, "Uchiha Naraku." Hearing this name, Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes became serious, and he immediately refused. "No. He is the best blacksmith in Konoha in the future. The dark environment at the root is not suitable for him. He needs a person full of sunny growing environment. What's more, he is still just a student of ninja school. Let him join your roots, absolutely impossible." Quote. Danzo showed an expected expression. He sneered and said, "Hiruzen, it turns out you already know this person. Then I have to have a serious talk with you. He is an Uchiha. If he can really continuously build top-notch weapons like Kurichimanji. Are you sure you can suppress the Uchiha clan?" Hiruzen Sarutobi seemed angry and said, "Uchiha is a member of the village. I don't allow you to say that about them. Naraku is a good boy and will never forget the village. Didn't he give his first weapon to Orochimaru?" Danzo stared at Hiruzen Sarutobi, and he felt that Hiruzen Sarutobi's face was so hypocritical at this moment. Although his heart was full of anger, Danzo still suppressed his anger and said, "If a 7 ninja swordsman appears in the Uchiha clan, and all of these 7 ninja swordsmen possess Sharingan, can you suppress it? You know, they have always longed for a clan leader to become the Hokage. Or are you willing to pass the position of Hokage to the Uchiha clan?" Sarutobi Hiruzen's anger instantly rose, and he roared angrily, "I emphasize again that the Uchiha clan is part of the village, and Uchiha Naraku is also an indispensable part of the village. I will never agree to let him join your shady roots." Danzo responded indifferently, "Hiruzen, you will regret it." Sarutobi Hiruzen also responded seriously, "I am the Hokage." Danzo heard this and slammed the door and left without looking back. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed helplessly. In fact, he didn't know the crisis that the Uchiha clan might cause. However, in his prime, he still had enough confidence in himself and firmly believed that he could successfully suppress the Uchiha clan. And he was going to get in touch with the child Uchiha Naraku to see if this child had the will of fire. Chapter 11. Naraku coaxed Makoto away after some hard talking, and now he has 100 lottery opportunities in his hand. It can be said that Naraku has never fought such a rich battle in his life. According to Naraku's guess, this lottery should have a gold guarantee. After all, there will be a blue guarantee after 10 times. Even if you drop it 100 times, there will still be a golden guarantee. Sharpening the knife does not stop chopping wood, but Naraku is still as pious as a 4th-year-old man. The system will first draw 10 to see the situation. Bite. Lottery in progress. Facial cleanser 10. Candy 1 box. Green Hulk's underwear. Fried chicken 10 kilograms. Toothpicks 1 box. Ham sausage 1 box. Green 20 meters Poseidon type. The Poseidon type in the pirate world is a very powerful creature and is a huge beast. A portion of blue Uchiha steel. Sunscreen 10. Mineral water 1 box. Looking at the results of the lottery, Naraku felt a chill in his heart. The Immortal of Guarantee appeared again, and then looked at a bunch of useless ordinary items. Naraku directly asked the system to block gray items, and only display green and above items later. The next step is to lash out 90 times. Bite. Lottery in progress. Blue Uchiha steel 12 copies. Blue dangerous types of armored beast, Earth Dramon, Poison Dramon. Golden special dangerous dragon species Tyrant, live dangerous species in the form of a dragon. This kind of dragon lives in extremely harsh environments, with traces of them in frozen soil or deserts. Because of its strong adaptability and vitality, the cells that were made into the Taigu Goryu still survive and are constantly evolving. Secret techniques for forging golden and armor-type imperial equipment, including haunting by evil spirits, incarnation of Shira, noble chariot, and the protector of the country, supreme throne. Green 20 meters Poseidon category 13 pieces. Green refined iron 100 kilograms. Naraku looked at 13 copies of Aurea steel, which meant 13 copies of B-level equipment. And the combination of Tyrant, a dangerous species in the form of a dragon, and the secret forging of armored imperial gear can create a demon-haunted creature. Haunted by evil spirits, the armored imperial equipment made from the ferocious dragon-shaped dangerous species, Thailand. When called, the strong armor will automatically fly out, enhancing the ability of the person wearing it. The Taigu boasts an iron wall of defense, and is equipped with the red-backed shrike as an accessory weapon. Because it places a huge burden on the wearer, ordinary people would die if they wore it. The hidden ability is to activate the biological characteristics used in the material and make it transparent for a short time. As long as the user is skilled, he can also hide his own aura. This Taigu has the ability to continuously evolve. Due to the characteristics of the material, it can even be immune to very special elemental attacks. Excessive use will cause the body to completely transform into a dragon. This is the exclusive imperial weapon of the male protagonist in Zon Crimson Eyes. It can be said that due to the characteristics of the imperial weapon, the possibilities for its owner are endless. But Naraku looked at the forging conditions and found that this Taigu requires at least 10 parts of Aurea steel metal. This left Naraku facing a choice, whether to forge a large number of ministerial tools or to forge a powerful imperial weapon to completely establish his reputation. After thinking for a while, Naraku decided to build the imperial equipment first, and then use the daily reputation points to slowly produce the imperial equipment. And there is no doubt that the evil ghost haunting is an A-level weapon, and the system might even award 1,000 lottery opportunities. Of course, Naraku is not sure that he can forge the imperial equipment in one go, even if he masters the tools for forging the imperial equipment. Therefore, he still needs to forge some more ceremonial implements to practice his skills first. It is best to use blue materials combined with the secret forging techniques of the imperial tools to forge several times. But there was one thing that made Naraku feel special. The system specifically marked Tyrant, a dangerous dragon-shaped species, as alive. Naraku didn't think he was strong enough to defeat this particularly dangerous species. Therefore, before forging this imperial weapon, you need to recruit a few strong men to help subdue this dangerous species. Even forging this imperial weapon cannot kill it. If Tyrant is killed, the forged Taigu will no longer have the characteristic of infinite evolution. The value of the imperial equipment will even drop by 1 level because of this, and it will become a noble chariot. Shira Incarnation, Noble Chariot, an armor-type Taigu developed based on the prototype of the Demon Haunter. Its performance is superior to that of operating armor, but it does not have the transparency ability to operate armor, nor does it have the powerful explosive power to operate armor. As for the final guardian machine god, Supreme Throne, Naraku didn't expect to be able to forge this imperial weapon. Wago Jishin, Supreme Throne, the first and strongest Taigu. It is both the origin of the Taigu and the culmination of all Taigu. It is called the Supreme Taigu. According to legend, it has abilities comparable to those of gods, and can only be used by those with the blood of the emperor. The secret skill is Purge Mode, which combines the characteristics of alchemy and taigu to transform the appearance into a dragon shape. The user will be corroded by the taigu and become murderous. The destructive power and quantity of weapons are greatly increased, and the hardness of armor as the speed has also improved to a higher level. The conditions and materials required for this Taijin were too difficult, and Naraku didn't think it could be forged by one person or a few people. Don't think too much about the Poseidon type that will be rewarded later. Use the previous food processing technology to process it to increase your strength. As for the blue and dangerous types of iron armored beast, earth dragon beast, and poison dragon beast, several dangerous types should be able to forge several ministers based on the specific situation. Naraku considered that no one would customize weapons now, so he continued to practice the shadow clone technique. Previously, Naoki used Kurichimanji to reward one card of chakra, and Naraku felt that he would soon learn the shadow clone technique. Naraku practiced the shadow clone technique for a while in the room. Naraku found that it would be much easier to perform this ninjutsu with more chakra. Although Naraku's current clones are all soft-footed shrimps. Finally, after 2.5 hours of training, Naraku finally learned the shadow clone technique. After touching his belly, Naraku decided to go out and see what was delicious. Naraku was walking on the road when he suddenly saw a wretched middle-aged man with a smile. Naraku thought he looked familiar and took another look. It was at this glance that he recognized the young version of Hiruzen Sarutobi who had given a speech in the ninja school before. Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately stopped Naraku. "Naraku boy. I want to talk to you." Naraku couldn't help it. After all, he was the boss of the village now, and he couldn't refute his face. Hiruzen Sarutobi is now around 40 years old, and there is no one in the whole village who is better than him. So Naraku decided to pay attention. At this stage, he would first be a superficial brother with the top management of Konoha. At least on the surface, he would be a good boy. He is even ready to have some cooperation with Hiruzen Sarutobi or even Danzo Shimura in the early stage. By the time he gets stronger, Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura are of little value. He will let the two of them know what I don't eat beef. The weapons given can also be easily withdrawn. Third generation master. What's the matter? Naraku asked, pretending not to know anything. Sarutobi Hiruzen said kindly, "Naraku-chan, I heard that you want to become the most powerful blacksmith, and you have already achieved some success." Naraku knew that Hiruzen Sarutobi was planning to brainwash him. "Third generation Sama, I want to go eat ramen. Shall we go together?" Naraku took advantage of being a child to interrupt Sarutobi Hiruzen's spellcasting. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked stunned. "I am Hokage. Then let's go to the ramen restaurant in front. I'll treat you to ramen. I happen to be a little hungry too," Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a smile again. Naraku responded with a smile. "Thank you, Mr. Third Generation." The two of them chatted while eating ramen. "What do you think of the village?" "The village is everyone's home." "What did you learn about the Will of Fire textbook?" "What do you understand about the Will of Fire?" Hiruzen Sarutobi continued to ask. Naraku felt that this little old man was wrong. Sarutobi Hiruzen was only about 40 years old now. It must be that the wretched uncle is preparing to search his will. Faced with this, Naraku was certainly right. He combined it with the textbook and said, "The will of fire is when those in front burn themselves to provide nourishment for those behind, and those behind will pay for those behind." Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't find any problems with this answer, so he searched again. "Then what do you think of the village and the family?" "There is a family only when there is a village, and there is a village only when there are many families. Only when everyone in the village is present, can the small family like the family survive better," Naru thought to himself. "The premise is that everyone shares the cake fairly." Naraku continued to answer perfectly. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard the exquisite answer, he suddenly felt a little pity. It's a pity that Naraku is an Uchiha, otherwise with this child's understanding of the will of fire, he could become a Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly asked the most critical question. "Naru-chan, you are very talented in forging. How are you going to distribute the forged weapons later?" Naraku has been waiting for this question for a long time. "I want to become the most powerful blacksmith in the ninja world. So as long as the weapons I forge are suitable and can meet the cost, I am also willing to give them a try to every strong person in the village." I don't want the weapons I worked so hard to build to be snatched away by the enemy. If the village has any good materials, you can give them to me. I'm also willing to forge some weapons. Quote. Sarutobi Hiruzen was very happy to hear that this child did not limit his vision to his family. But he didn't notice that Naraku's vision was not limited to one village or one country. Sarutobi Hiruzen also made a splash. The village is the backing of your dreams. If you need any help, you can come to me. Later, after eating the noodles, Sarutobi Hiruzen gave a few words of encouragement and left with satisfaction, and also helped Naraku settle the bill. Naraku thought, there should be a lot less obstacles in the future. In fact, the current ninja world is not peaceful at all. Fighting factions in each village are gradually rising up, and friction at the border has never stopped. As the sun shines through the window, Naraku prepares to go to school for a long time to play with his friends and keep in touch with each other. Naraku is very interested in the whirlpool Kushina or the nine tails in her body, and is also a little interested in Namikaze Minato's talent for time and space. Naraku walked directly to Uchiha Makoto's house without any scruples. At this time, Uchiha Makoto was eating breakfast, and Uchiha Aoko was serving beside him. Seeing Naraku coming, Uchiha Makoto was also very happy to invite him to have breakfast together. Uchiha Aoko was very dissatisfied with the little Naraku in front of her. She didn't understand why the granddaughter of the grand elder of the Uchiha clan would like to play with this orphaned kid in front of her. Instead of the patriarch's son Uchiha Fugaku, because of this Naraku, the relationship between Uchiha Makoto and Uchiha Fugaku is getting farther and farther. But she couldn't change Uchiha Makoto's mind. Sarutobi Heiau looked at the rare guest Uchiha and Naraku couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He didn't know why his clan leader asked him to take more care of this Uchiha. He was prepared, but this guy never came to class, and he couldn't go to the Uchiha clan to find him out. Namikaze Minato was a little concerned about his friend not coming for a few days, so he leaned on Naraku and asked. Looking at little son's concern, Naraku did not hide it and said, in the past few days, I have been forging a ninja sword for Orochimaru-sama. Listening to Naraku's words, Namikaze Minato couldn't help but express his admiration. It's Orochimaru-sama. Naraku, the ninja sword you forged must be very powerful. What Naraku was waiting for was this sentence. It's just a ninja sword that can conduct chakra and has 2 skills. It will bleed for a week at most after being cut. Namikaze Minato, a civilian ninja, had never heard of such a powerful weapon, and his eyes were filled with stars. But when I thought about my lack of money, I could only echo the praise. Uzumaki Kushina felt a little uncomfortable when she was next to Namikaze Minato. She didn't understand what was so good about the Uchiha pretty face in front of her. It seemed like she had taken away Namikaze Minato's soul as soon as she came. Although Minato Namikaze was also a pretty boy, she felt that she had already accepted Minato Namikaze as her younger brother. Just waiting to tame Uchiha Naraku and become the eldest among the 3. Uzumaki Kushina said to Naraku, I don't believe you can forge such a powerful weapon. Naraku ignored this little pepper, but said seriously to Namikaze Minato, you are my first male friend in the ninja school, and I will forge a powerful weapon for you for free. Don't refuse in a hurry, just wait until you become more powerful and then repay the favor. Quote. Namikaze Minato was directly hit by this. This situation is like your friend saying that he will buy you a house and a luxury car, and wait until you are successful in the future to repay the favor. Namikaze Minato wanted to refuse out of politeness, but Uchiha Naraku gave too much, so he could only agree with a blush. It's just that we don't have this custom here, otherwise I would have to say, if I don't give up, I will be willing to worship you as my foster father. Chili Pepper became a little angry when she saw that she couldn't bring back Minato Namikaze's soul at all. Sarutobi Heiau, who was on the podium, couldn't bear it anymore and could only invite these 3 out together. Standing at the door, Naraku looked into the distance and couldn't help but feel that this was a rare experience. After all, after graduating from high school, I have never experienced standing penalty again, and I still stand outside the door. Naraku looked at Namikaze Minato, who was coaxing Kushina into the whirlpool, and suggested, let's go to the barbecue. This strange brain circuit directly confused Uzumaki Kushina. She always thought that she was the most arrogant person in the entire ninja school, but she didn't expect that the Uchiha Naraku in front of her was even more brave. He simply didn't take the teacher seriously at all. She suddenly found this pretty boy Uchiha a little bit pleasing to her eyes. Then he immediately agreed. At this time, Minato Namikaze, a good student, had nothing to do. We can only go along. It's hard for him, a good student, to become good friends with these two gangsters. The three of them came to the wild, and Naraku pretended to take out the ingredients from the storage scroll. Uzumaki Kushina looked curiously at the AD calcium milk Naraku handed them, took a sip, and immediately felt that the drink in front of her was sweet and delicious. Naraku, on the other hand, took out the Poseidon that he had cut before and relied on the ingredient processing method he had learned before to process this special ingredient. It can only be said that it is a green-level technology, and the Poseidon produced by this special technology is extremely delicious. Moreover, Naraku felt that eating this food seemed to speed up his growth. Naraku seemed to feel that his height was growing rapidly. Moreover, Naraku's whole body is also getting stronger quickly. Naraku even feels that after a while, others will be able to say to him, "Are you sure you are only 8 years old?" So Naraku planned to give it a try to others to see if it was his illusion. After all, he himself was also growing taller. And Naraku found that there were too many Poseidon types. He alone has nearly 770 tons of fish on hand. According to the recommended healthy diet for ordinary people, he eats 80–150 grams of meat a day. This much meat would take a person to eat for more than 14,000 years based on the recommended healthy diet for ordinary people. Even if he eats like crazy, he won't be able to finish it all in his life. It is foreseeable that there may be more Poseidons in the future, so he plans to try all the potential stocks that he is optimistic about. Even if Sarutobi Hiruzen found out that he wanted meat, he could exchange the meat for something good. Then it will all depend on his acting skills. He must sell this meat for the price of caviar. The three of them touched the AD calcium milk and drank it in one gulp. Then with new breasts, Uzumaki Kushina seemed a little drunk and said to Naraku, "Uchiha Naraku. In the barbecue area, I, Uzumaki Kushina, am willing to call you the strongest." In the distance, Heiu Sarutobi shed tears. Lord Third Generation told Naraku to bond with the people in the village, and the other one was to bond Kushina Uzumaki with the people in the village. He definitely completed both tasks well. But isn't there something wrong with the way these people finished it? And he really wants to eat that barbecue. In the afternoon, Naraku discovered that there was actually a practical class in the afternoon. Ice volleys against Yoshida Koichi. Following the order from Heiu Sarutobi, the two civilian ninjas formed a seal of opposition and began to fight. Naraku also watched the two civilian ninjas fighting with relish. Ai's Linkong took the lead in using shuriken to shoot at Yoshida Koichi, and Yoshida Koichi also used shuriken to shoot back. The shurikens collided in the air and fell, and Yoshida Koichi and Ai's Linkong began to fight in close combat. Then Koichi Yoshida used a substitute technique to deceive Ai's Linkong, and punched Ai's Linkong, followed by a suppressive attack. In the end, Yoshida Koichi won the battle. Naraku watched the battle of the civilian ninjas in the ninja school and wondered why the students in the ninja school were so stupid. But he knew it when he thought that the most graduation requirement was to test the three body skills. In fact, even civilian ninjas in the genin stage can only master 1 or 2 C-level ninjutsu and be proficient in the use of the three-body technique. Most of the battles are still close combat. This is the sorrow of civilian ninjas. Think about Sakura in the original book, even Chunin took the test against Ino. As a result, the most common way the two of them used their fists was to punch each other. Ino still had the ability to turn around, but Sakura really didn't have any. She was still the theoretical master in the ninja school. Next up is Namikaze Minato vs Hanhonkyo. These two were still civilian ninjas, but Namikaze Minato was superior in terms of shuriken use, reaction power, and timing. So Namikaze Minato won quickly. Even a rookie like Naraku could see that Namikaze Minato was a piece of diamond. Of course, even raw jade needs to be well developed. If Namikaze Minato didn't have a Jiraiya teacher, maybe an ordinary Jonin would be his limit. After all, if you look at Uchiha's many military exploits, which Uchiha can do the ninjutsu in the sealed book. Not to mention Sage Jutsu, which is a place that ordinary ninjas can't even dream of. Uchiha Naraku vs. Uchiha type. The Uchiha type brat stood there with a contemptuous smile on his face, and then taunted unceremoniously, "Naraku, let's see who will be severely punished today. I want you to know how powerful I am." His voice was full of provocation and confidence. Uchiha Naraku couldn't help feeling helpless after listening to the other party's words. He really couldn't figure out where he provoked this kid and why he always had such strong malice towards him. He frowned and asked with a hint of doubt in his tone, "What did I do wrong? Why do you always stare at me?" The Uchiha type widened his eyes, straightened his body, looked directly at Uchiha Naraku, and said unabashedly, "It's because you don't look like a real Uchiha tribesman at all. Moreover, you are so close to Uchiha Makoto." Quote. Uchiha Naraku said slowly, "If the Uchiha you imagine are all idiots like you, that's not true. And Uchiha Makoto is not an object. I will definitely marry her." In fact, whether before Naraku awakened his memory or after he awakened his memory, he always had a bit of arrogance in his heart. For Uchiha, there is absolutely no sense of the so-called wealthy family pride that ordinary Uchiha people have. As a result, he looks different from the ordinary Uchiha kid. This is also the Uchiha type. This kid has always been unhappy with Naraku. Back to the battle. After Naraku finished speaking, the Uchiha type directly broke through the defense. He rushed over with his fists raised. He also cursed, "You actually look down on Uchiha." Naraku was not afraid at all, and started pecking at each other with the Uchiha type rookie. The level of both of them is actually about the same, but the obvious Uchiha type has lost his cool. When Naraku finds a flaw, he punches him. The knocked out Uchiha type stood up and immediately formed the seal, Siwei Shen Hai Wu Yin. Fire style Great Fireball technique. Originally, Sarutobi Heiau looked at the Uchiha type and was ready to stop the battle, but he found that Uchiha Naraku was also forming seals simultaneously. Fire style Great Fireball technique. Soon the two great fireballs collided. Since Naraku has a lot of chakra, even if it is similar to his opponent's control over ninjutsu, Naraku's great fireball is still relatively larger. So after neutralizing the Uchiha type fireball, Naraku's fireball continued to fly towards the opponent. The Uchiha type tried his best to avoid the blow, but before he could react, Naraku took advantage of the collision of fireballs and used Shadow Clone to come up and beat him up. The Uchiha type was defeated in just a few hits. Uchiha Naraku looked at this brat and said, "If you are really proud of Uchiha, you should learn to be humble and stronger." After preaching to the young man, Naraku felt sour and relieved. Is this the pleasure of winning a fight and preaching to his opponent? If there weren't so many people now, he would have wanted to dig his fingers into his temples and say, "Sai Gao, you are still a member of the Four Greats." The winner, Uchiha Naraku. As Sarutobi Heiau announced the results, the audience below also started to chirp. "I thought Uchiha Naraku was handsome before. Even more handsome now. Dueling against my opponent for the woman I love, and finally winning. It's so cool. It's a pity that I have a woman I like." "You're not married yet. There's still a chance." Following these words, a girl said. The other girls looked at Uchiha Naraku with dangerous eyes. Uchiha Naraku doesn't care about these women. After all, good boys are always remembered. Uzumaki Kushina came over to Naraku without any pretense and said, "I didn't expect you to be quite strong. Be my little brother from now on." "Haha, you are so funny," Naraku replied. At the same time, Naraku always felt as if there was a vague gaze looking at him, although Naraku was not sure. But he felt that there was a high probability that Sarutobi Hiruzen was peeping. Fortunately, this feeling of voyeurism never appears in the Uchiha clan's territory. The atmosphere in Chief Uchiha's study seemed tense. Uchiha Chiangake, the current leader of the Uchiha clan, is listening to the report of his subordinates with a stern face. What the subordinate said was exactly about Uchiha Naraku. The patriarch, Uchiha Naraku, that young man who was not noticeable before, has done shocking things recently. There was a hint of disbelief in the subordinate's tone. At only 8 years old, he actually successfully forged he gave Orochimaru a weapon comparable to Kurikage's 7 ninja swords. Uchiha Kianyu frowned. "Why haven't we discovered such a talent before? It's really surprising. clan leader. His previous performance has been mediocre, but he didn't expect to have such a talent. The subordinate replied. Moreover, he gave such treasures to outsiders. Uchiha Kianyu's voice was full of dissatisfaction. Is this any dissatisfaction with our Uchiha clan? Just then, his son Uchiha Fugaku walked in. Seeing his father's gloomy expression, his heart tightened, but he still saluted respectfully. Father, what is it that makes you so angry? Fugaku, how much do you know about Uchiha Naraku? Uchiha Chigaku asked, looking directly into his son's eyes. Uchiha Fugaku was stunned for a moment, and then replied, he was not outstanding before, and his talent was only average. He was not very gregarious in the group, so my understanding of him was limited. So, how is his relationship with Uchiha Makoto? Uchiha Kianyu asked suddenly. Uchiha Fugaku was shocked. Why did his father suddenly ask this question? He hesitated for a moment and replied, the relationship between them should be pretty good. Is it just good? Uchiha Kianyu's tone revealed an unquestionable majesty. Uchiha Fugaku smiled bitterly in his heart. He knew that his father had always valued Uchiha Makoto and had hinted that he was on good terms with her. But now, things seemed to have changed. Father, didn't you ask me to settle the relationship with Uchiha Makoto before? Uchiha Fugaku asked tentatively. One moment and another. The most important thing now is to win over Uchiha Naraku, not to conflict with him because of women. Uchiha Kianyu said coldly, I will arrange a marriage for you with the granddaughter of the second elder. Uchiha Fugaku felt bitter in his heart. Can the second elder's granddaughter compare with Uchiha Makoto? Uchiha Makoto's appearance is also at the absolute top level among the Uchiha clan, and her personality is also very good. It can be said that she is a beauty similar to Yamato Nadeshiko. The most important thing is that he really likes Uchiha Makoto. I don't know why, but the moment he saw Uchiha Makoto, he felt that he was destined. He even thought about their future children, one named Uchiha Itachi and the other Uchiha Sasuke. The eldest son, Uchiha Itachi, will be the leader of the Uchiha clan. He is extremely talented and very filial. The younger brother Uchiha Sasuke's abilities are relatively less outstanding, but he is still far ahead of other children of the same race, and he is kind and cute. She is always by his and Makoto's side, providing for them in their old age. At the same time, she is also her brother's most solid support. And the story of their brotherhood and brotherhood will be widely circulated with the rise of the Uchiha clan. What a pity. He knew that his father's decision was unquestionable, but he still felt unwilling to give up Uchiha Makoto. However, he could only suppress this anger in his heart. I thought to myself, Uchiha Naraku. The hatred for taking my wife is irreconcilable. But he also knew that if he wanted to succeed as clan leader, he couldn't directly take revenge on Uchiha Naraku. At this time, only the song, One Cut Plum Blossom, can represent Uchiha Fugaku's mood. Uchiha Min, the great elder of the Uchiha clan on the other side, also learned the news. He called his granddaughter Uchiha Makoto to his side and wanted to know about Uchiha Naraku. Makoto-chan, how are you doing, Naraku-ki? Uchiha asked in a gentle tone. Uchiha Makoto was shocked. She was worried that her grandfather knew about Naraku. So she hesitated for a moment, and then replied, Grandpa, Naraku has been doing well recently. What's wrong, Grandpa? But the great elder seemed not satisfied with her answer. He gave Uchiha Makoto a deep look, and then said, Makoto, you are my most beloved granddaughter. I don't want you to do stupid things because of a man. Uchiha Makoto lowered her head, knowing that there was something in her grandfather's words. She sighed secretly in her heart, then raised her head and said, Grandpa, I understand. The great elder nodded, and then said, So, can you call Uchiha Naraku over? I want to have a meal with him. Uchiha Makoto's heart moved, and she knew that this was an opportunity for her grandfather to get to know Uchiha Naraku personally. She nodded, then turned and left the room. On the way to find Uchiha Naraku, Uchiha Makoto's heart was filled with complicated emotions. She not only hopes that Uchiha Naraku can be recognized by her grandfather, but she is also afraid that he will be punished for what happened before. She knew that her affection for Uchiha Naraku went beyond the scope of ordinary friends, but she could not control her feelings. Uchiha Naraku on the other side doesn't know these things yet. Naraku now feels that he has made some small achievements in forging, and his forging level has also improved. So, I went directly to the door of Hotake Tsukumo's house and rang the doorbell. After a while, a beautiful but pale woman opened the gate. Hotake Miko looked at the child in front of her and couldn't help but think about whose child this was. Naraku was also looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, wondering if this was Kakashi's mother. Then she realized that she didn't seem to recognize the child in front of her, so she asked, "Child, what can I do for you?" Naraku also showed the characteristic harmless smile of a kid and said, "Is Tsukumo-sama here? I have something important to discuss with him." Hotake Miko looked at the child in front of her without any threat, and Naraku seemed to be quite well behaved. There shouldn't be any pranks. So he let Naraku in. Hotake Tsukumo and Naraku sat on the sofa with their eyes wide open. Finally, Naraku broke the silence and said, "Tsukumo-sama, my name is Naraku. You must have heard of my reputation, and I want to forge a sword for you." Hotake Tsukumo was immediately silenced by Naraku, and he thought about it in his mind. Naraku seems to be a well-known blacksmith in Konoha. He forged a Kurichi Manji, and gave it to Orochimaru. But he already has his own fighting style, and abilities like the bleed out and yang chakra don't particularly help him. And he is quite used to using the Hotake short blade. So after waiting for a while, Hotake Tsukumo explained the situation to Naraku. Listening to Hotake Tsukumo's words, Naraku couldn't help but feel a little speechless. He had considered this before not giving Kurichimanji to Hotake Tsukumo. But now Hotake Tsukumo is actually doubting his ability. Please note that it will be Hidong for 30 years and Hexi for 30 years. Don't bully young people into poverty. In order to become stronger, Naraku explained to Hotake Tsukumo, "I can't just forge weapons with those two functions. And I can directly upgrade Hotake's short blade. Lord Tsukumo, you don't want your beloved sword to be abandoned by you because it can't keep up with your strength or is easily damaged, right?" I don't know if it was in the hands of Hotake Tsukumo, but the White Fang short blade was broken in the hands of Hotake Kakashi. At this time, Hotake Tsukumo finally became interested. Although his fighting method rarely used weapons to directly confront other weapons, he had always wanted to extend or strengthen his Hotake short blade. However, since his Hotake short blade requires extremely strong chakra conductivity, this means that the forging raw materials require a large amount of chakra metal. When most people forge weapons, they only add a little bit of chakra metal into the weapon. The characteristics of the Hotake short blade greatly increase the cost of weapon extension. The Hotake short blade in the hand of Hotake Tsukumo can be said to be the chakra metal weapon passed down from generation to generation by the Hotake family. At the same time, the excessive amount of chakra metal that must be contained in the weapon also reduces the possibility of weapon modification. The most important thing is that although people like Hotake Tsukumo have done a lot of tasks, they are generous, and generous people like to take care of their subordinates and have wives and children to support. The money on hand is not that generous enough to completely build a weapon made entirely of chakra metal. After understanding this problem, Naraku confidently stated that he could solve this problem. He had several precious materials that had excellent chakra conduction capabilities and also had some other properties. Although their ability to conduct chakra may not be as good as chakra metal, it is still very strong. He can use these metals to replace the ordinary metals in the Hotake short blade, and then achieve the effect of expanding the Hotake short blade. The final effect is that the overall conduction ratio of the Hotake short blade has not decreased, but its strength has been greatly improved. Naraku also asked Hotake Tsukumo to choose the ability of Hotake's short blade, movement speed enhancement. Short burst, earth attribute attack, poison quenching. You need to choose two of these abilities. Hotake Tsukumo refused again. Naraku was really a little angry this time. He was the great blacksmith of Konoha and forged weapons for Hotake Tsukumo for free. As a result, this guy refused one after another, which was a bit disrespectful to him. Naraku made up his mind, this was only a matter of 3, if he refused. If Naraku forged weapons for him in the future, then he would be a dog. Naraku calmed down and asked Hotake again why Tsukumo refused. Hotake Tsukumo said that metals that can conduct chakra and metals with special abilities are too precious. He feels that he cannot afford the price. Hearing this, Naraku's anger eased, and he knew that Hatake Sakumo was one of the few honest people in the ninja world and had his own persistence. To say that he was a ninja would be better to say that he was a samurai who used ninja methods. Naraku is also accustomed to standing on the moral high ground. Sakumo-sama, do you think I haven't considered this? You underestimate my magnanimity, Naraku. Do I forge weapons for money? I am forging swords for Konoha. For the peace and future of Konoha. If you really feel sorry for me, then you can teach me some knife skills. Quote. Hatake Sakumo was directly shocked by Naraku's words. He never thought that an 8-year-old child could have such magnanimity. He even felt that if the age difference between the two was not too large, he would have wanted to have with Naraku. But he heard that Naraku was a little interested in his sword skills, and he was ready to teach him his sword skills. And he is prepared to protect the future of Konoha in the future. As for the ability of the ninja sword, Hatake Sakumo chose movement speed enhancement and short-term burst without much thought. As for earth-type attacks and poison, he didn't need it. What he needs is extreme speed and the ability to defeat all methods with one sword. In the world of martial arts, only speed is indestructible and indestructible. This is Hatake Sakumo's fighting style. After understanding the situation, Naraku communicated with Hatake Sakumo about the details of the weapon, and drew several drawings for Hatake Sakumo to choose one. Later, Naraku took away Hatake Sakumo's short blade, and Hatake Miko watched helplessly as Naraku took away the short blade that has been passed down from generation to generation in the Hatake family. She wondered if her husband had been defrauded. Should she not let the child in? Naraku got the Hatake short blade and was about to fight, when Uchiha Makoto came over. After knowing that Uchiha Makoto's grandfather, Uchiha, wanted to see him, Uchiha Naraku suddenly felt a little bit sour. This old man is not easy to deal with. As the leader of the Hawks of the Uchiha clan, Naraku thinks he is a very stubborn little old man. But he couldn't refuse because he was afraid that he would be tied up to see him when he was forging. At this moment, Naraku felt the pain of insufficient strength. He did not need Senju Hashirama's strength. Even if he had Senju Tobarama's strength, he could easily refuse this meal. He even boldly said, Uchiha is a born evil old ghost, I will do it with my own hands. Let's see who can disturb his forging in the future. After finishing QQ, Naraku took a shower and went to see Uchiha. At the dinner table, Uchiha Aoko consciously left the room after serving the food. Uchiha smiled and said to Naraku, Little Naraku, what have you been busy with recently? Naraku, who was cooking rice, put down his chopsticks. He knew that the dispute had begun. Some time ago, I forged a Kirichimanji for Lord Orochimaru, and now I am going to reforge the Hatake short blade for Hatake Sakumo. Listening to Naraku turning his arms outward, Uchiha Min didn't directly show his angry expression. Years of struggle have taught him to suppress his emotions. Then when are you going to forge weapons for the Uchiha clan? Naraku continued to play dumb. Isn't it enough for Uchiha to have Sharingan? Uchiha Makoto was a little anxious when he heard this. After all, although the old man in front of him seemed very kind, he had always been a ruthless character who never stopped killing people. Uchiha was silent for a while and responded, This is indeed Uchiha's problem. The young people in the tribe today are indeed too arrogant. After listening to Madara-sama's story, I thought that having Sharingan was enough. I don't like this, I don't like that. In fact, what they don't know is that Uchiha Madara is at a level far beyond ordinary people in terms of ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. Quote. Taking advantage of Uchiha Min's opportunity to speak, Naraku took a few more mouthfuls of rice, and then said to Uchiha Min, I will make weapons for the clan, but I hope I am not making weapons for the weak. I don't want the weapons I made to be snatched away by the enemy one day. After saying that, Naraku said goodbye to Uchiha Makoto and said goodbye to Uchiha Makoto before leaving. Uchiha Min looked at Naraku's leaving figure and smiled slowly, thinking, this is me. Someone who is cold on the outside but hot on the inside and has Uchiha's arrogance. Mainly because of this confidence and appearance, I, Uchiha Min, am the only one who is young. Time can be compared. Then Uchiha said to his granddaughter, Makoto, you can have more contact with Naraku-chan in the future. Although Uchiha Makoto didn't know what made his grandfather change his attitude, he nodded obediently. After resting for the night, Naraku returned to the forging room again. Naraku forms a seal with his hands. Shadow clone technique. A bang of smoke appeared. Behind them are 3 clones of Naraku. Naraku only recently remembered that he could use the clone technique to increase his forging speed. Naraku took out the remaining limbs of Water Dragon, Flying Mantis, a piece of Aurea steel, 10 kilograms of fine iron, a piece of green orangutan crimson sand iron, and orangutan crimson ore, and finally the Hokage short blade. Naraku's main body first slowly removed the non-chakra metal impurities from the Hokage short blade. Clone number 1 deals with Waterdramon, which is a one-eyed long fish. The main thing the clone does is to use forging technology to integrate the overall essence of the water dragon into its eyes. Clone number 2 is melting the Uchiha steel metal and processing the remaining limbs of the flying mantis. This mainly involves integrating the essence of the flying mantis into the tail fin and then melting the link again. Clone number 3 deals with fine iron, green gorilla crimson sand iron, and gorilla crimson ore. After Nai's main body finished processing the impurities in the Hokage short blade, clone number 2 immediately integrated the melted Aurea steel metal into it, forming a powerful and solid mixed substance. Next, Naraku performed a series of forging secrets to forge the mixed material and draw specific lines. After that, the biological essence of the flying mantis extracted by number 2 is integrated into the main body of the sword, and special patterns are carefully carved on the main body of the material. Naraku then took out the refined iron processed by number 3, as well as green orangutan crimson sand iron, and orangutan crimson ore. Fill in the skeleton of the sword body. Soon the sword embryo was formed. Naraku forged the sword embryo, and gradually, under Naraku's forging, the sword embryo took shape. At this time, due to Naraku's previous reservation, there was a circular hole on the hilt of the sword embryo, and Naraku printed the water dragon beast's one eye on it. The final use of secret techniques to carve lines was carried out. Finally, the international practice of blacksmiths leaves their mark, Nai, on it. This sword looks very special. It still maintains the double-edged design style, showing its unique offensiveness and practicality. The hilt of the sword is inlaid with a water dragon's eye, exuding a mysterious and majestic aura. The sword body as a whole shows a pale tone, giving people a cold and hard feeling. If you look closely at the sword body, you can see some mysterious lines carefully carved on it. These lines are intricate, like ancient spells, making the whole sword full of mysterious power. Naraku then appraised the sword in his hand. Water Dragon Sword, Special Edition, B+ level weapon. This sword has been infused with the efforts of the forger and uses a large number of precious materials: Aurea steel, chakra metal, dangerous species, orangutan crimson sand iron, orangutan crimson ore, fine iron. A variety of secret techniques are used in the forging process. It took a day to forge. It finally reached a level that far surpassed the original weapon. This sword is edged on both sides, is 90 centimeters long, has strong and sharp properties, and has a strong ability to conduct chakra. It used to be that chakra metal was too expensive, but now the sword has been lengthened a bit to better meet the needs of users. Skills. 1. After activating the Eye of Water Dragon, the combat effectiveness will be strengthened within 3 minutes, but you will be extremely tired after using it. 2. 3 minutes after activating the main body of the sword, the flexibility and speed of movement are greatly improved, and you will be relatively fatigued after use. 3. It has a strengthening effect on chakra of a single attribute. Naraku looked at the sword in front of him and felt it was very handsome. 2 active and 1 passive are greatly improved compared to the previous Hokage short blade. With these skills, Hokage Tsukumo should be able to exert more terrifying dominance. Naraku did not sleep after that, but used the time before going to bed to forge a C-level toy knife for himself using orangutan crimson sand iron, orangutan crimson ore, and fine iron. Of course, even the toy knife mentioned by Naraku is a high-quality product that is infinitely close to B-level existence. Naraku mainly uses it to train knife skills with Hokage Tsukumo later. It's not that he doesn't want to give himself a better life. He himself is not in any danger in Konoha now, and most of the materials on his body are not suitable for forging swords but are more suitable for forging armors and the like. Even if he had the materials and good luck to forge an A-level weapon, it would be funny if others tried to rob him because he had a good weapon. His current purpose is to quickly forge good weapons for the strong, and then use cheat passively to quickly increase his strength or personal limit. If there is a chance later, I will forge myself an ultimate life-saving weapon. It is best to have a survivability that can compete with Orochimaru, so that he can do things more recklessly. The next day, a refreshed Naraku used the shadow clone technique as usual to create a clone and go to the ninja school. Nowadays, he usually doesn't go to the ninja school without practical classes. Then Naraku rushed to Hotake Sakumo's house. Hotake Sakumo must have been a little impatient. After all, he is a swordsman who can't let go of his knife. Not having his knife with him is a bit like not having a piece of paper with him when he rewards himself. Thrilling. At this time, in Sarutobi Hiruzen's Hokage office, Shimura Danzo said to Sarutobi Hiruzen in a calm tone, that Naraku brat has been very happy recently. He is very close to Nine Tails Jinchuriki and is on the line with Hotake Sakumo. Not to mention the people within the Uchiha clan. He is a member of the village, and anyone he wants to have a good relationship with is allowed. This is a bond, Sarutobi Hiruzen responded. Danzo sneered and said, "Don't forget, he is an Uchiha. You haven't forgotten that Uchiha Madara controlled Nine Tails and tried to destroy the village. He, an Uchiha, began to frequently contact the strong man who did not take sides in the village. What are you going to do?" Sarutobi Hiruzen said angrily, "That's enough. I won't allow you to doubt anyone in the village, even if he is Uchiha. Just give up on this. I will not transfer him to the root." Danzo said quickly, "Hiruzen, you will regret it." Then he went out immediately without giving Sarutobi Hiruzen a chance to say that I am the Hokage. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt as if he had eaten shit, but Danzo was very happy. He didn't come here to get Naraku at all this time, but to bury the seeds of doubt in this old friend's heart and wait for them to sprout slowly. When Naraku rang Hotake's doorbell again, a flash of lightning flashed, and Hotake Sakumo appeared in front of Naraku. Looking at Hotake Sakumo, who was pale and sloppy in front of him, as if all his life force had been sucked out of him, his originally straight back was now slightly bent, as listless as a deflated rubber ball. Looking at his eyes again, they should have been as sharp as an eagle, but now they became dull. Hotake Sakumo said with a little eagerness, "Is my sword forged yet?" Naraku could only say that he really didn't understand swordsmen, and he became like this just because his beloved sword was not around. When Naraku took out the water dragon sword, Hotake Sakumo's eyes were instantly attracted to this. Hotake Sakumo tremblingly took the sword that was familiar yet unfamiliar to him. "Try it," Naraku gestured with a smile. Hotake Sakumo's eyes suddenly became serious. When Hotake Sakumo slowly injected his chakra into the water dragon sword, the entire blade of the sword slowly turned golden with the injection of lightning-style chakra. Hotake Sakumo was a little surprised by the changes in front of him, but he did not pay too much attention to this detail but slowly sensed his own chakra, and found that the conduction of chakra in the water dragon sword was stronger, especially the lightning-style chakra. This alone is a big enhancement to him. After all, White Fang's main fighting method is to use the thunder attribute chakra to stimulate the body to reach faster speeds. And use the thunder attribute chakra to be injected into the sword to increase the lethality of the sword, and then supplement it with extremely strong reflexes and superb swordsmanship to achieve the goal of killing with one blow. Bite. At the same time, Naraku also slowly said the three skills of the water dragon sword one by one. Following Naraku's words, it can be said that the shock on Hotake Sakumo's face never stopped. Whether it is increasing combat power or increasing movement and flexibility, it is very useful to him. Although each one only lasts for 3 minutes, and there is also a short-term negative buff, for a strong man of his level, 3 minutes can already do a lot of things. He prefers the passive single attribute chakra enhancement. This directly enhances his combat effectiveness and is permanent. It can be said that just this passive has raised his upper limit. Hotake Sakumo was also delighted to see the hunting spirit, and immediately demonstrated a wave of Hotake sword skills in front of Naraku. When Hotake Sakumo activated the two active parts of the weapon at the same time, Naraku couldn't even see Hotake Sakumo's shadow, but only saw the shapes of some surrounding buildings or objects changing. After 3 minutes, Hitaki Tsukumo's figure slowly appeared. Naraku looked at the 8 dog-headed statues that appeared around Hitaki Tsukumo, and the corner of his mouth twitched. He used to be curious about Kakashi's chakra power and his love for carving dog heads on Earth style from whom he learned it. It turns out that this is the reason. At this time, Hitaki Tsukumo stood in the center of the circle as if he were a peerless swordsman who was truly unique and independent. In fact, his body was already exhausted from using 2 skills at the same time. But as a master, his face does not allow him to show the slightest bit of weakness. Bite. Hitaki Tsukumo became the master of the weapon Water Dragon Sword, and initially used the Water Dragon Sword, and the talent was copied and activated. Hitaki Sword Technique, a sword technique passed down from generation to generation in the Hitaki family. Basic mastery. Bite. Hitaki Tsukumo's use of the Water Dragon Sword has reached the intermediate level, and the talent is copied and activated. Hitaki's sword technique is intermediate mastery. Bite. Hitaki Tsukumo's use of the Water Dragon Sword has reached an advanced level, and the talent is copied and activated. Advanced mastery of Hitaki sword techniques. As the system clicked 3 times in a row, many memories of the Hitaki sword technique appeared in Naraku's mind, as if he had been learning to use the Hitaki sword technique for many years. It was also this progressive reward that made Naraku guess that the higher the weapon mastery level, the better the reward. From the initial practice to the first glimpse of the door, from the first glimpse of the door to the entrance to the classroom, from the entrance to the classroom to a slight success, from a slight success to a comprehensive understanding. When Naraku opened his eyes again, a swordsman's sharpness suddenly appeared on him. Hitaki Tsukumo was also stunned by the Naraku in front of him. Could it be that Naraku learned and mastered the Hitaki sword technique just by watching him demonstrate it once? Or even understood his own thing? This guy is so scary. I wonder if my son will have the qualifications to become a peerless swordsman in the future. Naraku. Don't Q, I didn't see anything just now with my unawakened Sharingan. I didn't even see your people anywhere. You're just learning stupid sword skills. The 2 of them exchanged polite greetings and then went back to their respective homes. Hitaki Miko looked at her husband who was slumped on the sofa. If she hadn't believed in her husband's masculinity, she would have almost thought that her husband had gone out to have a bowel war. Hitaki Miko guessed in her mind, it must be that Naraku again. The last time he came to her home, her husband had been depressed for several days. She was used to it, but today her husband saw Naraku again and became paralyzed with excitement. So Naraku is a coquettish fool. Naraku, who was walking home, was analyzing why Hitaki Tsukumo's reward came so quickly. He guessed that this sword was very compatible with Hitaki Tsukumo. After all, it was a recast of the Hitaki short blade that Hitaki Tsukumo had always used, achieving an effect similar to proficiency inheritance. Naraku suddenly had a bad guess, that is, talent copying, or talent copying brought about by B-level weapons, may not be able to copy certain talents or bloodlines. In fact, what Naraku wanted more was Hitaki Tsukumo's talent for swordsmanship or Nezuki's Senju clan bloodline. In the end, they were both fixed rewards. Naraku can only wait for the number of weapons to be increased later to analyze. Bite. Orochimaru becomes the master of the weapon Kurichimanji, and initially uses Kurichimanji, and the talent is copied and activated. Psychic Technique Triple Rashomon, 5-layer Rashomon inherited from first Hokage. The large mouth opened without any scruples as to absorb all attacks. Summoned Defensive Wall, Rashomon. The first gate that withstands the attack from the front, the second gate that reduces the power of the attack, and the third gate that spreads the pressure of the attack. According to this 3-layer gate with different functions, the power of all attacks has been greatly reduced when they come to the user. Intermediate Master. Bite. Orochimaru uses the weapon Kurichimanji to kill the Iwakage Chunin Iwatat, and the effect of the undead army is activated. The Iwakage Chunin Iwatat is now included in the blacksmith's exclusive Shinigami Hall. Orochimaru uses the weapon Kiri Ikimanji to kill Iwakage Chunin Iwatat, the effect of the undead army is activated, and Iwakage Chunin Iwatat is now included in the blacksmith's exclusive Shinigami Hall. Looking at the information in front of him, Naraku knew that Orochimaru used Kurichi's text to create a gate of opening. Or kill 2 at once, judging from the names, they are unlucky brothers. As for the psychic technique Triple Rashomon obtained through talent copying, Naraku can only say that this ninjutsu is pretty good. This ninjutsu has extremely strong defense power. When it is strong, it can even resist the tailed beast Jade. This was the first time that the skill of the undead army was used. Naraku found a deserted place and entered the Shinigami temple consciously. Then he saw two ordinary-looking middle-aged people standing inside blankly, and Naraku tried to summon them out. Naraku, who returned to the real world, looked at the two goose chunin in front of him and directly ordered them to fight. The two suddenly began to spar in earnest, starting with the ninja's customary shuriken exchange, followed by close-quarters combat, and in the middle using the substitute or clone technique to paralyze the opponent. Chunina used an earth-style rock-iron cannon technique and spit out a stream of pebbles from his mouth. The pebbles then continued to grow in the air and hit Chuninbi like a solid cannonball. Chuninbi used earth-style Tulu return, slapping his hand to the ground to turn the land in front of him into a large stone slab to resist the opponent's attack. 3 minutes later, the two figures suddenly disappeared and returned to Shinigami Den. Naraku was quite satisfied with these two people. Although they seemed to have lost their intelligence, their fighting instincts were still quite high. It's just that the time is a bit short, only 3 minutes. I don't know if there will be any changes for stronger ninjas. As for why the Shinigami Temple, which is obviously a soul that enters, can come out and become a physical entity, there is even a chakra. Naraku was also a little curious, but then he thought about the infinite chakra like the reincarnation of the earth, which was a weirder existence. So Naraku didn't go into details yet. After the experiment, Naraku stretched out and prepared to have a late-night snack, so he found a place with a nice view and suitable for moon viewing, took the Poseidon and started grilling the Poseidon outside the clan. Suddenly, a man dressed as Anbu with a monkey mask appeared in front of Naraku. The monkey Anbu said, "Naraku, Mr. Hokage has something to do with you. Come with us." Naraku looked at Anbu in front of him and felt more and more something was wrong. First of all, Sarutobi Hiruzen probably had nothing to do and wanted to find him at this point. Secondly, the style of this group of people is a bit wrong. If you say it is Anbu, it is more like the Roots. Naraku said to the person in front of him, "Since Lord Third Generation is looking for me, where is the Hokage warrant?" Naturally, Monkey Mask couldn't produce any warrant, so he said to Naraku in front of him in a threatening tone, "Uchiha Naraku, I advise you to come with us." Listening to the threat from the person in front of him, Naraku knew that 90% of the time he met Danzo. Naraku thought that there was a high probability that he would not be in any danger, but if Danzo's old Yunbi got mad, Bawang forced himself to use his bow and threatened him with something else, or even got mad and killed himself, who would he find to reason with? Naraku said to the Monkey Mask, "Can you wait until I finish eating the barbecue?" Monkey Mask said coldly, "I advise you not to keep Mr. Third Generation waiting. One last time, come with us." Naraku was furious at this moment. This dog Danzo is really disgusting. Naraku directly suspected the barbecue grill and smashed it towards the root. He stretched out his hand and pulled out the toy knife he had forged before. Use chakra to stimulate the physical body, and use the Hitaki knife technique to chop off the Monkey Mask. Monkey Mask didn't expect that Naraku would explode, and he couldn't react at all. He could only desperately use the teleportation technique to avoid the knife. After all, Monkey Mask is the special Jonin of Konoha village, so his strength is certainly extraordinary. Facing Naraku's extremely sharp sword, he remained calm in the face of danger, flashed his body, and instantly performed a superb teleportation technique, avoiding the fatal blow like a ghost. However, despite successfully dodging the knife, Monkey Mask's arm was unfortunately hit and blood spurted out. He endured the severe pain, quickly mobilized the chakra in his body, and used medical ninjutsu to stop the bleeding and heal himself. He formed a seal with his hands, and a powerful chakra energy surged from his body and converged on the injured arm. Under the influence of chakra, the wound gradually heals and the bleeding gradually decreases. Monkey Mask said with a hint of indifference and anger, "Since you don't cooperate well, then don't blame me." Naraku couldn't help but feel a little disappointed when he saw that his sneak attack did not kill the enemy, but he also knew that although he had mastered the Hitaki sword technique at an advanced level, but he has no thunder attribute at all, so it is difficult to show faster speed. Coupled with my lack of physical strength and the fact that I haven't had time to properly practice the Hitaki sword technique, I can't show any strength in the Hatake sword technique at all. However, Naraku was not ready to give up resistance and formed a seal using the shadow clone technique. Naraku and the 3 clones looked at each other and rushed towards the base of the monkey mask with their knives. With 2 shurikens and 1 punch, Monkey Mask neatly dealt with Naraku's shadow clone. Facing Naraku's fatal blow, Monkey Mask was not afraid to use his ninja sword to block Naraku. There was a dang sound, and a large piece of iron was broken off the Monkey Mask's ninja sword. Monkey Mask did not choose to distance himself this time, and did not dare to attack with the knife. He used the teleportation technique to move behind Naraku and punch Naraku with great force. Naraku had no time to dodge and was directly knocked far away by the punch. After receiving this punch, Naraku felt as if his internal organs had been translocated. He lay on the ground for a long time without getting up. Monkey Mask emphasized again, "Please come back with me to see Master Hokage." Naraku, who has always been arrogant, feels that he is a time traveler and has cheat. He has always been indifferent to Konoha, but now he can feel the dark side of Konoha relatively intuitively. Naraku regretted finding this barbecue place. Usually no one came to this place. The voyeuristic 3rd generation never uses telescopes after 10 o'clock at night. The choice he now faces is to choose to accept Danzo's pua and brainwashing at the root. The second one is to kill him. Anyway, he is sure that the guy in front of him does not dare to kill him, so he may be able to use this to fight back. I don't know if it was a matter of bloodline or personality, but Naraku's fierceness also emerged, and he wanted to kill the root in front of him. But Naraku realized that his life was precious, so he was ready to give it a try and run away if it didn't work. Naraku stood up and said to the Monkey Mask, "Did you know? I invited a few Uchiha people to have barbecue together. Guess when they will come?" Monkey Mask was shocked by Naraku's words. Naraku quickly formed a seal and used the shadow clone technique. 4 clones were created. Then the clones quickly ran towards the center of the Uchiha tribe. Monkey Mask also hurried to catch up. After Monkey Mask cut off 2 clones, he was about to cut down the 3rd clone, but the clone struck back with a knife. The Monkey Mask is resistible. However, he didn't notice Naraku's body behind him. Naraku found the right angle and used the Hatake knife technique to hit the Monkey Mask with all his strength. Before Monkey Mask could say anything, he was cut in half. Blood and internal organs were scattered all over the ground. Naraku used the system space to pick up the corpses on the ground and ran back home quickly. Naraku, who ran to the tribe's home, gasped and looked at himself in the mirror. A small Magatama appeared in Naraku's eyes, and Naraku knew that he had awakened Sharingan. Naraku carefully admired his Sharingan as if appreciating a work of art. Although he was breathing rapidly, Naraku did not feel the confusion, pain and fear he felt when he first killed someone. Perhaps because of the blood inheritance of the Uchiha clan, or perhaps due to the influence of Naraku's crazy nature deep in his heart, the corner of his mouth gradually curved. At first, the smile was weak, just a chuckle. But as time went by, the laughter gradually became louder, more arrogant and wanton. Finally, Naraku laughed loudly, and the laughter echoed in the air. After laughing for a while, Naraku stopped smiling. He didn't know why he liked this feeling a little bit. He finally understood why the Uchiha laughing for liked this kind of loud laughter. After calming down, Naraku began to review the battle he had just fought. It can be said that his purity was too low just now. He obviously had a large amount of chakra and superb swordsmanship but did not exert a particularly strong effect. This was related to his failure to digest his own conditions. If it hadn't been for the Monkey Mask that always wanted to capture him alive without causing too much harm to him, he would have died countless times. And although the Monkey Mask is a special Jonin, what should be special about it is non-combat aspects, most likely its hidden ability. He urgently needs time to further utilize his own advantages. First of all, he urgently needs to obtain the Thunder Attribute Chakra and practice Hatake sword skills. Secondly, he needs to learn more ninjutsu. Although he can rely on his sword skills to defeat all kinds of magic with one sword. But it also needs various ninjutsu to assist. And it is difficult for him to reach the level of defeating all kinds of magic with one sword in a short time. But he still had time, and he decided to move to Makoto's house tomorrow. He would like to see if Danzo now dares to send people to cause trouble at the house of the great elder Uchiha. As for his little feud with Danzo, Naraku was much more generous. He was not allowed to kill Danzo in the early stage, because of the relationship between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Dog Danzo. If Danzo can really be killed without betraying the village, it will be unless Sarutobi Hiruzen steps down. And perhaps Naraku's name is the same as the name of the boss in Inuyasha, and Naraku's own revenge habits are sometimes the same as that of the spider monster. He would not say that he would kill one of Danzo's men today and cut off Danzo's right-hand man tomorrow. Finally, he and Danzo would quarrel from time to time, making Danzo scream in anger. In Naraku's opinion, that kind of revenge is no different from that of a child. He believes in not taking action, and once he takes action, he will only bring despair and helplessness to the enemy. For this reason, even if he suffers some so-called frustration during the process, he won't take it seriously as long as it can help him grow faster. Think about it if one day Dog Danzo suddenly found someone he thought he could control at will, but cut off his Hokage dream. Sending him to Sage of Six Paths should feel good. At the same time, Shimura Danzo is hiding in his own office in the dark. Waiting for his men to arrive, suddenly a rabbit mask appeared in front of Danzo. Danzo-sama, number 32 is dead. I don't know who killed him now. Danzo murmured. It seems it's not that simple to ask you to meet me. Uchiha Naraku. The next day, Naraku packed up and arrived at Uchiha Makoto's house. Uchiha Makoto looked at Naraku, who was packed up, his little head filled with doubts. Naraku, what are you doing? Naraku smiled seriously and said to Uchiha Makoto, I am here to be a child adopter and a live-in son-in-law, Makoto. From now on, our children will have your last name. Uchiha is fine. Uchiha looked at Naraku and was not very angry. He was experienced and felt that things were not that simple, so he said to Makoto, go help your child adopter clean up a room. Uchiha Makoto said coquettishly, Grandpa, what are you talking about? When did I say I wanted to marry Naraku? Marry me, not marry me. Naraku corrected. Uchiha Makoto didn't speak but glared at Naraku. Naraku looked at the room that Makoto had tidied and couldn't help but admire it. She is indeed a well-known good wife and mother in the original work. I will be blessed in the future. Naraku used Shadow Clone as usual and went to school with Uchiha Makoto. Uchiha went to Naraku and asked, what happened? Naraku just said that Shimura Danzo's people came to find him, and he escaped with some means. Uchiha Min did not show too much anger but said calmly, this is the village. The malice of the Hokage family. This kind of thing will not happen to the Inoka butterfly family, nor will it happen to the Hyuga family. But it can happen, on top of the Uchiha clan. Just stay here and I will build a new forging room for you. After finishing speaking, Uchiha slowly left the room, and Naraku looked at the old man who left. He felt that the leader of the Uchiha Hawks was not as simple as he thought before, but that he was a little too exaggerated. It seemed that there were smart people who saw something in the seemingly stupid operations of the original characters. It's just that there is no way to recover due to lack of strength or lack of information. On the balcony, Tsunade and Naoki were chatting on the rooftop. Naoki was pleading with his sister Tsunade, Sister, just give me that necklace. I know you want to give it to me as a gift when I am 12 years old. Tsunade said a little helplessly, how can I ask for a gift myself? Naoki showed his spirit of crying, making trouble and hanging himself, and begged his sister Tsunade to give him this gift. In the end, Tsunade couldn't stand Naoki's annoyance, and finally gave this gift to Naoki in advance. Rotri took the gift and put it on with a smile. Naraku found Hatake Sakumo, who was resting at home, and Hatake Sakumo said happily, you are finally here. Naraku, I taught you sword skills before. Naraku also respectfully said to Hatake Sakumo, Sir Sakumo, this is exactly why I am here. I have always wanted to experience the Hatake family's sword skills. In fact, Naraku came here mainly to obtain the legitimacy of the Hatake sword technique. Otherwise, he had seen Hatake Sakumo learn all the Hatake sword techniques after using it once. Hatake Sakumo said slowly, actually, the Hatake sword technique is not difficult. It mainly requires talent, a lot of practice and personal understanding. There are not many things that really need to be memorized. The first is primary mastery. This level does not require much chakra technology. The main thing is to attach chakra to the knife and use your own position. Then, perform some regular attacks. If you want to reach the level of intermediate mastery, you must learn to use chakra to further improve your speed. Moreover, at this stage, there will also be some new changes in the sword technique. The direct impact of these changes is that the attack power becomes more powerful and the speed of the sword becomes faster and faster. If you want to achieve advanced mastery, you must be proficient in using various variations of the thunder attribute chakra. Not only that, you also need to fully stimulate the lightning style chakra and integrate it into your body and weapons. Only in this way can you call it the perfect state of Hokage sword technique. In this state, the caster can exert the power of thunder and lightning to the extreme. Each sword contains the power of thunder, which is astonishingly powerful and difficult to guard against. In the end, Hokage didn't say anything about the next realm, but Naraku also expressed his understanding. On the other side, Hokage Sakumo watched Uchiha Naraku reach intermediate mastery from a newbie for the first time, and he opened his teeth completely. If Naraku could master the Hokage sword technique at an advanced level, Hokage Sakumo would probably go completely crazy. After all, he felt that he had a small amount of talent, but he had just broken through the advanced mastery and reached perfect mastery. He even persuaded Naraku to fully devote himself to swordsmanship. Unfortunately, Naraku was a member of his own family who knew about his family affairs. He relies on chi to master the Hokage sword technique, and he does not have the thunder attribute chakra. There is no way to reach advanced mastery yet. Later, Naraku left as if running for his life under Hokage Sakumo's reluctant eyes. Naraku's life has been rare and stable for a while since he moved to Uchiha Makoto's house. During this stable period, Naraku would practice Hokage sword skills, chakra control ability and physical skills every morning, and frantically polish his blacksmithing skills in the afternoons and evenings. 3 meals a day are the Poseidon type. The result is that Naraku's ninja strength is steadily increasing, and his forging skills are also polished to the point where he is infinitely close to A level. These changes are not too obvious. The most obvious change is the height. Naraku has changed from a 1.2-meter kid to a 1.7-meter boy. Unlike what he looked like when he was a child, Naraku can now be said to be a beautiful boy praised by everyone. During this period, due to the changes in height and appearance, the ones who were most shocked were Uchiha Makoto and Uchiha Min. Uchiha Min even said behind his back more than once, "What the hell is 8 years old?" Because it took Naraku 6 months to grow taller than him. Naraku is a little worried, though, because he is so tall at only 8 years old. Later, he will continue to eat the Poseidon type after the ingredients are processed. Don't be as tall as the 3 marine generals at 3 meters. The girls he likes, Uchiha Makoto and Tsunade, will most likely not be taller than 165. When the time comes to walk together, the scene will be so beautiful. There is a high probability that the faces of Uchiha Makoto and Tsunade will be as high as Naraku Gigi's face when they walk together. But Naraku is ready to talk about it later. There is always a way to solve the height problem. You can't give up the opportunity to become stronger quickly because of this reason. Naraku opened his personal panel after a long time. System membership level, Junior. Name, Uchiha Naraku. Age, 8 years old, 80 years old. Chakra attributes, Fire, Yin, Yang. Sharingan, unopened right pointing arrow single Magatama. Physical strength, C right pointing arrow B+. Chakra, 1.2 right pointing arrow 2 cards card, Konoha Jonin Kakashi's chakra amount. Chakra control ability, Poor right pointing arrow medium. Ninjutsu, Clone technique elementary, transformation technique elementary, substitute technique elementary, fire style great fireball technique elementary, mastery, psychic technique triple Rashomon, Hokage sword technique advanced mastery, fire style great fire extinguishing intermediate, shadow clone technique beginner. Taijutsu, Uchiha fluid technique beginner. Genjutsu, magic Narakumi no jutsu beginner. Evaluation. Your strength has reached the level of elite Chunin, and you can even go head to head with some special Jonin. Unfortunately, Chunin is just cannon fodder. Naraku automatically ignores the system's frustrated words. Elite Chunin at this stage is still very powerful. It will only break down in the later stage. So Naraku prepared to continue to polish his forging skills and walked towards the forging room. It can be said that the current Naraku is never leaving the door without taking another step, especially since the replacement of the binding forging room. Uchiha looked at Naraku with dull eyes, and even with his castle, he couldn't help asking Naraku, "Naraku, how on earth did you do it? You are so tall in 6 months. This is the talent of the Uchiha clan that you don't understand. Hey, come and eat." Naraku glanced at Uchiha Min with a mocking look, and then threw a piece of Poseidon barbecue to Uchiha Min. It's a pity that this old man hasn't eaten much fine bran in so many years. Uchiha had veins popping out on his head, thinking to himself, a kid is a kid, even if he looks like an adult, his words are still so irritating. Brat, have you awakened your Sharingan? Naraku did not reveal that he had awakened his Sharingan, because generally speaking, the sooner a person awakens his Sharingan, the more talented he is. Naraku doesn't want to attract attention. I, 3 Magatama Sharingan, did not come to discriminate against you, but you came to discriminate against me. You Uchiha brat, I will kill you on the spot when you see me. Looking at Uchiha, Naraku didn't want to take action and ran away quickly. After all, Uchiha wanted to show off his face and didn't chase after him. He just looked at the barbecue in his hand and fell into deep thought. Naraku came to the forging room and began to polish his forging skills impatiently. Open Sharingan, yes, during the forging process, Naraku found that opening Sharingan can observe some details of the forging process in more detail. I don't know what Uchiha Madara will think when she sees this scene. Madara-sama must be very pleased to see her juniors develop Sharingan into forging. Naraku took out the orangutan crimson sand iron, orangutan crimson ore, and fine iron and began to melt the chain. With the unique forging technique, a knife embryo was gradually formed. Then there is Naraku's original secret pattern. This pattern was invented by Naraku after summarizing the weapon forging technology. He wanted to see if the weapon could be forged without using biological materials. With the completion of the last line of texture, followed by cooling down, the entire knife has been completely completed. Naraku looked at the standard ninja sword in front of him and used appraisal directly. Standard B ninja sword fake, the impossible ninja sword forged by the blacksmith Naraku, but due to the congenital deficiencies of the ninja sword's material, this ninja sword can only be used once. Skill, charged / input chakra into the ninja sword, and then the ninja sword will send out a powerful sword energy to chop at the enemy. The more chakra input, the higher the damage. Bite, blacksmith level, B plus A forging room bonus, right pointing arrow A forging room bonus. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Naraku laughed loudly, not just because of this ninja sword, but his forging technology finally broke through the B plus level and reached the A level. This means that he can finally forge the A-level armor that is haunted by evil spirits. After a while, Naraku stopped smiling, although he was a boy who loved to laugh. But now no one in the audience is laughing, and he feels that something is missing. After Naraku put the standard ninja sword into the system space, he was going to find the rope tree, because the special dragon-shaped dangerous species Tyrant, the biological material necessary for forging the evil ghost, was alive and had to be forged alive. Naraku's current strength is completely unable to deal with this creature, and Tyrant's terrifying survivability characteristics also make Naraku a little scared. So Naraku needs some people. Naraku came to the door of the Senju clan and knocked on the door again. This time, the person opening the gate was not Naoki but Tsunade. Naraku looked at Tsunade in front of him. Her long golden hair fell on her shoulders like a waterfall, shining with a charming light. Tsunade's face is extremely delicate, and every detail exudes unique charm. The slightly raised corners of her mouth revealed a hint of cuteness, but at the same time, there was also a hint of cunning. The upper body of Tsunade was wearing a dress as white as snow, which contrasted sharply with her golden hair. Although she was only 22 years old, Tsunade already had unusually large. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.